Hello and welcome to Shop on TV. I'm Hayley.
And I'm Sean.
And we're joined by Simpler Law tonight. And this is something that you may have been thinking about doing. You may have just turned on just at the right time, because I think it's something lots of us put off. And I don't know why, but writing a will is so important. And I don't think people realise we didn't realise how important it was. We've been together, now I've worked it out, 34 years, but we're not married. But we know that our families know that whatever's mine is Sean's, whatever Sean's is mine. But sadly, if we hadn't written a will, there is a will in place, and that's the government will. And that government will would not have worked for us because we're not married. But actually, it's even more complicated than that. Perhaps you're remarried, perhaps you've got children from different partners. It is so important you get a legal will written. So important. Other what you've worked so hard for, what you want to happen, it's not going to happen.
And we're not just talking about wills tonight, we're also talking about lasting powers of attorney, and we're working with experts in the field. We're working with Simpler Law, so it's very important that you go directly to their website. But the offers across the board that we have are fantastic, aren't
Well, I think you think things are going to be really expensive for a start, and we've got some incredible deals, better than ever tonight. But also, I think we think things are going to be really complicated. It's law, isn't it? It frightens me. We had flashing lights tonight, the police, and I'm like, it's me. What did I do? I did something
It worked for us.
But it wasn't for me. I think sometimes we just find things petrifying. Simpler Law honestly make it so easy to write a will or to do that lasting power of attorney. But look at those prices first, because this gets rid of that myth that it is something really expensive to do. If you're going to go for that will, and it is so important, there is a government will out there. If you don't write a legally binding will, sadly, what you want to happen is not going to happen. And it's so affordable tonight. Should be £249. I thought it'd be thousands, if I'm honest. Our usual deal, £99, we give you 10% off. However, you've got an extra 10% off, but only till close of business on Friday. So you've got this incredible deal of £89, which then you're allowed to split the cost over those 4 payments. So £22.25 is the first of those 4 payments. And all you do tonight is secure these prices. We'll explain how to get in contact, but that's all you're doing tonight. And then Simpler Law will get back to you a little bit later on today or over the next couple of days. But what you're doing is securing that price, because it is a true special, that extra 10% off.
And only until the close of business on Friday, as we say. We've also got lasting powers of attorney. If you've heard of that term but you're not quite sure what it is, we'll explain as we go through the show. Should be £349, the usual price. Offer price is brilliant at £199, but again we're offering you a further 10% discount, so it comes down to £179, and with those 4 interest-free payments, just £44.75 on your first of 4 payments.
With those interest-free payments, I mean, the £22.25, I bet you spend more than that on coffee. £44.75, we struggle to get a takeaway for that price. And this is so affordable, but something that is so important to do. Now, you might think, well, actually, I'm going to go for the will and lasting power of attorney. I need to do both. So they've done an extra special deal bundling those two together, and should be £598, down to normally our special offer, £269, but you have got an extra 10% off till close of business on Friday. So £242 is your price for both of those. Remember, you're securing the deals tonight. You've got 4 payments when you split that cost of £60.50. And if you do decide tonight that you're going to do the will, and then as you watch the programme, you think, oh, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney as well. I know they will secure all those prices as long as you get in contact and say you want to talk about a will. If you decide to have the lasting power of attorney as well, they will allow you to add that on at the prices you're seeing. Now, there's another little extra, but it is only for the first 250 people, and these do tend to disappear very quickly.
First 250 people who secure the offer will get this book from Simpler Law, What My Family Should Know. Basically, it records all your information in one place, your assets, your pensions, and so everything's written down.
Utility
bills,
passwords, things we never thought
digital
about.
accounts.
Yeah, because so much now is not looking for letters. letters, is it? It's emails, and there might be, or even personal photographs on your dad's phone, on your mum's phone. You're going to lose all that because you don't know the password. So all that vital information is in that one book, but it is only for the first 250 people. A lot of people say, can I buy it? Normally £25, but if you are one of the first, just to secure the deals tonight, you will have that book on its way to you as well. Now, please make sure you take a photo of this next page, because this is how you get in contact. It's so simple, and every way is easy. If you want to just jump onto the website right now, remember it's not via us tonight, it's simplylaw.co.uk/shop on TV, or the phone lines, they are manned right now.
Yeah, the team are in the call centre right through until 3 a.m. So if you just want to secure those deals, as Hayley was saying, 0333 600 2600.
You might even have a couple of questions as well, and they will answer a couple of questions, but obviously it's just securing the deals tonight, and they'll get back in contact.
Yeah, you don't need any information, you don't
No.
need any documents with you. It's just about securing these offers that we've got for you. The most popular way to get in touch, though, is to just text. Text the word WILL, WILL, to 66777. That registers your interest and that secures those deals for you. We've always got our phone right by us in the palm of our hand. Just text the word WILL and the team will get back to you.
And I love that, because perhaps you've been at work all day talking to people, and the last thing you want to do is talk to someone. You're just texting that word. And the great thing is, I think sometimes we're so rubbish at doing things, aren't we? We put things off forever. We've got a stair carpet we have got to replace, and we just won't make that first move of actually ringing someone to say, will you come and do our carpet? I'm desperate to get it done. And then a month goes by, then a year goes by.
You just don't get round to it.
And with the will, one day it will just be too late, and that government will, which we will explain, will then fall into place because you didn't get round to writing that will. So please text. Jump onto that phone and just text that word WILL. It is so easy to do, and that is allowing you then to secure all the deals, and that is your first step to getting that job done.
The other way to get in touch is to go straight through our website, shopontv.co.uk. When you scroll down to our partners, you'll see the Simpler Law logo just there. Click on there and it'll take you through to those exclusive offers. As you go through, it's as simple as that. All those exclusive offers with the extra discounts, just a little contact form for you to fill in, and it is simple as that. And remember, you can change your mind if you do choose the will, or you do choose the lasting power of attorney, or you do choose the combination. If you want to add more on, you can do that when you get in touch with the team.
Yes.
It is just a case of getting in touch and do it now, because we just don't get round to it.
Yeah, you've got till close of business on Friday. I think sometimes we forget, don't we? Before you know it, it's Saturday. Before you know it, the summer's finished. Where has the summer gone? And then suddenly it's winter, then it's suddenly Christmas, and then the time just goes by so quickly, doesn't it? So do it right now, and you know that is done, and that is your first step to getting things sorted. And that could be that peace of mind that what you've worked so hard for actually does happen when you pass. There'd be nothing worse than looking down and watching your family fall into pieces because they know what you wanted, but it's not happening because it's then gone to that government will, and that government will doesn't work for anybody.
And we're not alone. Like we say, we're working with experts in the field, and two of those experts are joining us right now. Ian and Emma join us for the show. It's lovely to see you both.
Morning.
Welcome to the show. We've got so much to talk about, haven't we, when it comes to this?
We have. Ian, I'm going to start with you because your business is quite incredible. It's what you specialise in. Can you explain why a will is so important? And like I was saying, there is a will in place for you if you don't write your own.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people don't realise, and why would you, unless you work in this sector? I don't think people wake up on a Saturday morning and sort of type in on the internet, what happens when I pass away?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of assumption out there because there's not a lot of information out there. So you're quite right, we talk about this thing called the government will. Basically, if you don't make your own will, there's a set of rules called the rules of intestacy that, for all intents and purposes, are given to you when you pass away. And they're a really generic set of rules that was set up 100 years ago this year.
Wow.
When things were very different. And it's just a default position. And if you think about it logically, there's millions of adults in the UK. So if you don't have a will, there has to be a default position to make sure that what you've got is distributed.
Yeah.
And that's what this government will does. And that's where people sort of trip up, because they think that everything's going to be okay and the wishes are going to be carried out because they've told someone or they hope that's going to happen. But it's really, really simple. You either pass away with a will that you've created yourself that does what you want to do, or you pass away with a government will. And that's why it's so important to make your own will, Because whilst this is a really throwaway comment, you don't want to pass away with a government will.
Well, when you look at the government will, it very simply is. It's just yes or no answers to questions that were written over 100 years ago, when everybody really stayed married forever and probably had 2 children, and life is so different now. So many of us, we're not married, so many we've got children from different partners.
Second marriages, blended families.
So this really, when you read through this, I can't see this working for anybody that I know.
Well, it works in the sense that it does distribute that person's assets.
Which I suppose we've got to do.
But the blunt reality of it is it's not personal.
No.
By default, there's only 4 of us sat at this table, but we've all got different situations, and yet we'd all get exactly the same will if we didn't make our own. So that's why we do these shows, to be honest with you. We want to reach as many people as we can and say, listen, what you think is going to happen, or more importantly, what you hope is going to happen, is probably not. We've written over 250,000 wills, and we've never ever written a will for a client that matches the government will, because no one wants a government will. You want your own will. And that's why this is so important.
And when it comes to simpler law, Emma, you are specialists in the field. This is all you do, isn't it? You specialise in wills.
Absolutely. We don't specialise in any other types of law apart from estate planning and will writing.
Brilliant. So that's where the expertise comes in, I think.
You wouldn't come to MRI for a divorce or for a boundary dispute or for a personal injury claim, but if it's about protecting your assets, if it's about your last act on planet Earth, your last gift, if you like, to your family, then do it with simple law on the basis that you know this is all that we do, so we get it right all of the time. Touch wood.
So we're going to concentrate on wills first of all, but actually we're just going to talk briefly about lasting powers of attorney, because I think if you haven't come across that, and we've only come across that through sadness in life really, a lot of people, Emma, I don't think will understand what a lasting power of attorney is. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, so there's 2 types. So you've got property and finance, and you've got health and welfare. And they're basically documents to state that if someone was to lose capacity, through dementia or something like that.
So it could be health issues.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be anything.
Could be an accident.
It could be an accident, and you end up in a coma, anything like that. Then these documents basically give you the power of that person to be able to basically be in their shoes. In the eyes of the institute, you are them.
So we've got
to the law as well.
Absolutely.
Like you say, there's 2 different types. Property and affairs, first of all, is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
And I love what it says at the bottom of here, because it's exactly what you just said. Essentially, you choose someone to trust to manage your affairs in the eyes of the institutions and companies that they deal with. But this is a list of those things that they can do, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, with the property and affairs, it's anything to do with a financial, to be fair.
Right.
So things like claiming pensions or benefits, anything like that, buying and selling and leasing your property, paying household bills or managing investments and dealing with the HMRC. So there's so much you can do with that.
And I think a lot of us think, because I always think, I look after mum, everybody knows that, I love my mum, I'll always look after her, that you can instantly step into those shoes. Or as a husband and wife, that if your partner, if something happened to them, that you could instantly...
You do presume that, but you really can't.
No.
And when you think about it, I couldn't go into mum's bank now and say, can I just sort mum's money out? Because I'm not... it's not her. If I ring up something and say, can we change mum's phone even, that's all I need to speak to your mum.
It's like I couldn't go to my husband's bank and say, I need to take £100 out of the phone.
Of course not.
They wouldn't allow me to do that, even though we're married.
Yeah.
So I think that's the misconception. People think that they can do that sort of thing because they're married, or they know their partner or their husband's codes to their bank account, online banking. But it doesn't work like that, unfortunately.
You have to have that in place, that power of attorney.
Absolutely.
And that's not the only thing, though. The financial is the first type of power of attorney.
And that's what I went to Simpler Law. I actually did my mum's lasting power of attorney with Simpler Law before they worked with us here on Shop on TV. And they were fantastic, because we were like, I don't know what they're going to ask. And it is sitting down and have a conversation like we're having right now. They get the answers from you. They're incredible. But when we sat down and we came for the financial side, then you told us about the more personal side, which the health side to the LPAs, which for me was just as important.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, with that one, it's one that touches your heart, really, isn't it? Because it oversees any medical care. You can decide where, you know, your loved one's going to live.
Be looked after.
That's
what kind
right,
of nursing homes and
absolutely.
things such as
Even
that.
down to what they eat and wear. You know, you don't think about those small little things, but very, very important.
So important.
Yeah, to me it was just
Absolutely.
as important as the actual sort of property and affairs, and so important to have these in place while you're able to do it, because once you are poorly, Ian, or once something's actually happened, if you're not well enough to say, it's too late then, isn't it?
That's the key, unfortunately. We get phone calls at the office, sadly, every day that are the too late phone call. They might say something like, oh, you did our wills and lasting power of attorney. Sadly, my father's just been diagnosed with dementia. Can you help him? And unfortunately, you've got to have mental capacity to put these documents in place in the first place. So when it's too late, it's like you said about wills, unfortunately. You know, there will be a point where it's too late to do anything. It's the same with lasting power of attorney. But again, I think it's just the lack of knowledge that's out there that people either assume or hope that everything will be okay. And the worst thing is they find out when it is too late, and then the options that are open to them are very limited and very expensive.
Well, then it's the court of protection, isn't it?
Correct.
And the costs there are astronomical.
Oh, run into the thousands, and it's the time as well. Well, you can see there that there's £1,100 worth of court fees if you do this yourself. And to be honest with you, a lot of people haven't got the time or the inclination to deal with the courts themselves, so they end up using a professional, and then that runs into even more thousands of pounds. So there's all these fees being paid out. Sometimes the court of protection will even ask you to put your own money down as a bond, because the court's there to protect the vulnerable person.
Gosh.
So even though you know, as the spouse or the son or the daughter, or, you know, as a loved one, that you're doing the right thing, the court don't, because of course the person you're trying to care for has lost capacity, so they can't say that. And that's the whole point this court exists. But sadly, it's not just the money, it's the amount of time that it takes to get through that process, which is taking up to a year. So when you should be looking after your family...
That could be too late, couldn't it? And you've wasted all that time trying to sort it out, where all you wanted to do was actually look after them.
Yeah, if you had a crystal ball, you'd know whether you needed these documents.
Yeah.
These are documents that you would rather have and hope that your family never need to use them. Now, the difference with a will, of course, is we all know, unless you're immortal, one day that will is going to be used. With a lasting power of attorney, I call it a what-if document. It's not an insurance policy, but it can be viewed very similar to one.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because, you know, we will insure things that we think about, material things, you know, dishwashers, our phones, our boiler, our pets. You know, we'll insure all these things, but sometimes we forget to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's arguably that's the most important thing. I'd certainly like to think I'm a bit more important than a dishwasher. My wife would argue differently.
We'll get her to email in.
Yeah. The offers are brilliant. We've talked about wills, lasting power of attorney, but there's also the combination offer. If you want to go for that one, that is the biggest saving, isn't it?
It is, and the great thing is, as long as you secure the deals tonight, you might automatically think, I'm going to do a will. And then the more you watch, after you've secured the deal and you've got in contact, you think, oh, I wish I'd done the lasting power of attorney and the will. As long as you get in contact and secure the deals, whichever option you decide to go for, you will get the price that you see tonight, which is an extra 10% off. It really is a special, but only until close of business on Friday. So what I would say is do it right now. It's that first step to actually get the job done, and it will be the biggest weight off your shoulders, the biggest peace of mind. And whether it is the will, the lasting power of attorney, whether you're going for both, you've got incredible savings, and of course you can split those costs as well over those 4 payments interest-free.
And it's so important that you go directly to Simpler Law themselves. Remember, the easiest way, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. However, if you do want to text the word will, WILL, to 66777. And that secures those offers for you.
Perhaps it's something you've thought about doing, but you haven't. And I think you truly have switched on at the right time, because you will learn so much. We had no idea that if you hadn't got a will already, that there is a government will that falls into place.
And how important it is that you write your own will. It's just about getting round to it.
And not on a template, not on a piece of paper. You have to do it legally and properly, so you know that what you've written down is completely right. And you want to do it with true professionals.
And we are working with true professionals tonight from Simpler Law. It's the offers that we have for you, not only for wills, but also for lasting powers of attorney. We're going to run you through everything, all the details. But today it's all about securing securing the offers that we have available for you. And we've got extra discounts across the show. Take a little look at what we've got here. So if you've been thinking about writing a will, you just haven't gotten round to it, today could be that first step. Today could be that first moment when you put it in place. And that's all you've got to do. Now, the will itself, a suggested retail price of £249. On our normal offer, it'd be £99, which is brilliant, but we've got an extra 10% discount. So it comes down to just £89. We can reduce that cost even further with 4 interest-free payments, £22.25 on your first of 4 payments then.
I think you instantly think it's going to be really expensive, and you're seeing there it's so affordable. To make sure what you've worked so hard for, who you want it to go to, it's actually going to go to. And perhaps there's people you don't want to have things, and sadly the government will not take in your thoughts at all, and that will fall in place if you don't write your own. So honestly, £89, incredible value for money. Lasting powers of attorney, you might not have heard of that, but we have got an incredible saving on that. There's 2 different lasting powers of attorney, and we'll go into more detail throughout the show. Normally £349, £199 is our regular deal, 10% off. But you have got an extra 10% off only until close of business on Friday. Do it right now. Just get in contact and secure the deal. You don't need to know any information. Just need to know that you want to do a will, you want to do a lasting power of attorney, and get in contact this evening. And of course, your price there can be split over those 4 payments. £44.75 is the first of those 4 payments. Those costs, when you split them, I mean, £22.25. I bet most of you spend more than that on coffee.
Takeaway coffees, yeah, easily.
Absolutely. And the £44.75, we struggle to get a takeaway for one night.
Just that one
for that
takeaway.
price.
Imagine when you equate it like that, it's so important. And today it's all about making that first step. The biggest saving of all is your will and lasting power of attorney. Should be £598, reduced price of £269, but an extra 10% discount brings it down to £242. And we will explain what a lasting power of attorney is if you're not quite sure, if you've not heard the details of what it means. With the interest-free payments, just £60.50 on your first of 4 interest-free payments if you want to spread the cost.
And remember, right now, all you're doing is securing that deal. So you don't need any information. All you need to do is get in contact, and it's so easy to get in contact. The first 250 people that do, you will get this book as well, which is fabulous. I think everybody should have this book, because sadly when someone does pass, you've got to find all this information. You're devastated as it is, and then you're looking for letters, you're looking for, you know, who did they do the bills with, or what's the password to the phone? I need to get onto their emails. This book holds all that information. I think it gives you peace of mind to fill this book in as well.
And it's all in one place for you. So the first 250 people to secure the offers will also receive that fabulous book, What My Family Should Know. Very important how to get in touch. Very simple, very straightforward for you. And there are a few different ways. Now, you can go to Simpler Law directly, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. You can call the call centre. The team are there right through till 3 a.m. They're there right now. You don't need any documents. All you need to do is secure the deal. 0333 600 2600.
And they are a fabulous team. If you've got a couple of questions, you could ask them, you know, right now, but obviously they'll get back to you later to sort out a time that's right for you to talk about things. But I think one of the best ways to do this, you might be at home thinking, when we're at home, because we talk all the time for a living, when the doorbell rings or the phone rings, neither of us want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So you go. You answer it. No, I don't want to speak to anybody. So one of the best things to do, and I enter all the competitions like this, and this is a competition you're definitely going to win. Get your phone and text the word will, and that is just all you do to 66777. That's it, done. What you've done is secured all the prices, whichever offer you want to go for, you've secured the deals. And remember, they're time limited. So once you've done that, you've got that peace of mind, and then Simpler Law will get back to you to sort out a time when it's convenient for you to sit down and chat to them. And that is all it's about, is a sit down and chat. If you're like me, I'm petrified of everything, saying the wrong thing, asking the wrong question. It's a sit down, easy conversation, and never at one point will you feel you've asked the wrong thing.
It's a real hand-holding process, isn't it?
The teams are fantastic.
And the experience we had with Hayley's mum, absolutely brilliant. We'll share lots of reviews with you.
We're the biggest worriers out there, so honestly, none of you could worry more than me and my mum. So honestly, it's one of the best things you can do, is just secure those deals and know that you've got that will sorted, know you've got the lasting power of attorney sorted, because hand on heart, It's so important, and what you want to happen will not happen unless you've done it legally.
Yeah, we're going to talk about wills first of all, and we've got two of the experts with us from Simpler Law. Ian and Emma join us for the show. It's lovely to have you with us. We're going to go more into depth about wills now. It's really important, Ian, to start off. Everybody needs a will, don't they?
Absolutely. It's your last act on planet Earth, and it needs to be your act. You've worked hard for everything that you've got, and you probably already have in your mind where you want it to go when you're no longer here. But unless you make your own will, and that is signed, dated and witnessed correctly, what you think or hope might happen actually doesn't happen. Because what we've all got is a default will that we call the government will, or it's actually, technically, it's called the rules of intestacy, which is basically a set of rules that was set up over 100 years ago. You can see it on the screen there. It's a series of yes or no questions that basically decides for you what will happen to your estate after you've passed away.
So where would it start in? What would be the first question if
First question is always about your marital status, and there's no grey areas. It doesn't ask if you're lovers or cohabitors or whether you've been together 33 or 34 years. I think we've established recently it's 34 years for you two. But in all seriousness, it really is. It's very simple. You're either married or in a civil partnership, or you're not. And we often hear phrases like common law, husband and wife.
That's what we thought, yeah.
That's what we presume.
Yeah, we hear things like that, but that's not a legal status. So again, you're either married or in a civil partnership, or you're not. And that's the question, it's yes or no, and they're all yes or no questions.
So that first question, we failed, because we've been together 34 years. Our family knows what's mine is Sean's, what Sean is mine. But that if we hadn't written a will and had the government will, we failed straight away.
That's one of the biggest things that truthfully freaks people out, because you can build a life together, you can be together for decades, but believe it or not, unmarried partners actually are entitled to nothing under the rules of intestacy.
It's frightening. We had no idea. But then it gets more complicated, because even if you are married, it doesn't mean it's going to work with the government
your entire
will
estate
either, does it? Especially if you've got children from different partners.
Absolutely. It can get quite convoluted. Even married couples aren't guaranteed to inherit everything from each other. There are certain limits that can be inherited. But you've hit the nail on the head. When this set of rules was put in place, it was done in 1925, 100 years ago this year, when society was very different, and, you know, without being too generalistic, you probably got married, stayed married, had 2.4 children. That was what I heard growing up, you know, married with 2.4 kids. Today, it's not unusual for us to speak to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who might be on their second marriage. They might have children from previous relationships. They might have children together. Well, the rules of intestacy, this may sound melodramatic, but the government will, it literally rips that family apart, because it can't basically cater for that relationship. If it's outside of your bloodline, it gets really messy really quickly. So forgive the finger puppets, but if Mr. Smith passed away first, and everything as he may want to happen went to Mrs. Smith under the rules of intestacy, it's then when Mrs. Smith dies that Mr. Smith's children realise they're not getting anything, because it all follows Mrs. Smith's bloodline.
Gosh.
And what we often hear is people say, well, yes, but if that did happen, my children would look after their children. We don't cast aspersions, but that's a really difficult position to put those children in. And sometimes it isn't about your children doing the right thing, in inverted commas, because they might have spouses or partners themselves who also have an influence over, well, that £300,000 is legally yours. You don't have to give it to your stepbrother or your stepsister. And all of that heartache, all that additional stress and bereavement at a really difficult time can be removed by sending a text tonight. If you just text the word will to 66777, speak to one of our consultants for half an hour, that can be fixed. And I'll use the word fixed because you perhaps don't know, but it's broken until you do fix it. Because the government will doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about any of us. It's just a default position to make sure there is something in place if you do pass away. So you either pass away with your will, and that's your gift to your family,
wishes,
and your wishes, and it's personal and bespoke to you, or you pass away intestate, and that's when the government will steps in. And please don't be fooled or assume that you're going to be different from everybody else, because sadly that's not the case.
Yeah,
it will always be that way. When there's nothing, even if they say, "Well, Dad said, Mum said," I know, you know, I've got written on this piece of paper. It has to be done properly, doesn't it? Legally.
What I think I've learned over the last, if I've learned anything, which again my colleagues would deny that I've learned anything, but I think what I've learned over the last sort of quarter of a century of doing this is, when I've heard people say they've assumed this would happen, I've realised it's not an assumption, it's a hope.
Yeah, of course.
And unfortunately, that hope is never realised because the rules of intestacy doesn't care about you. So the only way to make sure that what you want to happen happens is to make your own will.
Right.
Truthfully, that's why we do these shows.
Yeah.
Is we want to reach as many people as we can and say, listen.
Because we don't know.
No, why would we?
Yeah.
I mean, no one wakes up on a Saturday morning and says, I think I'm going to type in and see what happens when I die into the internet. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. We specialise in this area, so we're well placed to give you the best advice.
We had absolutely no idea, and I think what also people haven't got an idea about, Emma, is what you can actually do with a will. There's so much. It's not just down to the property you own. You don't have to own a fortune.
It's not just financial.
It's lots of personal.
It's all these different things.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, with your own will, you can choose your own executors. So they're the people that are going to distribute that will for you. You can also choose who is going to inherit from your estate.
Right.
And of course, a big thing is who isn't going to inherit. So who you may want to exclude from your will. Obviously, guardians for your children, that's a really big one.
Yeah, we need to go more into detail.
Absolutely. There, who's going to look after those? And then specific gifts. You might have heirlooms or, just, jewellery or something like that you really want to give a certain person.
Something that's meant to go down the family line,
in the rule
surname.
of intestacy, that's not going to happen. You don't get the choice there.
And I know for a lot of people...
Key. Sorry, Sean.
Go on.
No, that's key. The word choice is when you look at what's just been on the screen, you choose, you choose, because it's your will, it's your loved ones. It's your estate, it's what you've worked hard for.
And it's not just your children, it's pets. They're huge, aren't they, on wills?
I've got a dog, and if I was to pass, I would want her to go to a great home and not,
be looked after.
Kennels or something like that.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed how many times clients go, right, okay, that's the kids taken care of. Now let's deal with the important stuff. Let me tell you about my African grey parrot. You're like, okay. But again, that's the whole point. We have testamentary freedom in the UK. We should be allowed to make our own will. So what's important to you is important in your will. And it's really, really a selfless thing, though, because truthfully, whilst you'll get something out of it, you'll be surprised. It's not morbid. No. It's quite cathartic. Actually, it can be quite funny sometimes when you're going through everything, because all you're doing is planning for something that hopefully is many, many years off. But when you get to the end of it, no one ever turns around and says, I wish I hadn't done that. And you don't regret putting a will in place because there's nothing to regret.
It's that weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely.
It sounds a little bit cheesy, but your family might regret that you didn't do it, and I stand by that because we see both sides of the coin. We see people have passed away without a will and how that bereavement can be made worse because there isn't guidance from the person that's passed away. And we see people have passed away with a will. Now, I'm not going to pretend for 1 second that the grief and the bereavement is diminished by having that will. But what I do know from experience is it's not made worse because, dad did this, mom did this. That person basically documented a removal. And that's why it's selfless.
And emotions are so high, isn't it? This is why I think a lot of times
heightened,
families do fall apart if a will hasn't been written and then all of a sudden things are happening that they know their parents didn't want to happen. I know, and I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to upset you, but you can get a template.
Why would it upset
Doesn't like this question at all. Why shouldn't we? And we have to pay for those anyhow.
Yeah.
But sadly, we can fill those in incorrectly, can't we?
I think we live in, there's that much information available to us now that we can all do lots of things we never thought we could do. You can pull up a video to show you how to do this, that and the other. And these templates exist and they've existed for a while. But by definition, they're a template. So again, it's quite generic. Now, it's arguably better than the rules of intestacy because it'll be your template. But unless you know what you're doing, unless you know all the inheritance tax allowances, you know the additional tax allowances like the residence nil rate band, and I could throw out all these other scary bits of legislation. That's why I want you to contact our company, because we cut through all the scary legislation and we talk to you like we're talking now. We make sure that you understand everything and we'll give you advice along the way. A template will not give you advice. And just to give you a very quick idea, you'll speak to a member of our team only when you're happy to speak to them. You'll give us your instructions because it's your will, and we'll only produce the documents for you when you're 100% happy with what you've told us and you're 100% happy with what we've told you. And all that advice that we give you is protected, and everything that we do, we're insured for up to £5 million. So if we make a mistake, you're protected, and touch wood, we never have. Now, when you do a template, there's no insurance, there's no one to give you advice. And so it's such a big risk. And if you know what you want to document, I don't know why you take the risk of not getting it right. You know, it's like, in theory, I can change the oil on my car, but I don't.
No.
Because I'm not built that way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In theory, I could look at a video and see how to pull a tooth, but I'm going to go to a dentist.
No.
I'm not being facetious,
No.
but you want to speak to a professional, and you want the best advice, and you want insured advice.
You want it to be right.
Yeah.
And you want it to be right. It's your last act on planet Earth, so the worst thing that can happen is you do one of these templates and you don't quite get it right, because we even help you with the signing of it as well.
Yes, which is really
It's
important.
a hand-holding process without being patronising through the whole thing, because people do have a tendency to oversimplify a will, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but there are things that you do have to get right, and of course this is all we specialise in, so we help you get it right.
Wasn't there a gentleman, he was like a granddad, wasn't he, and they'd written their will, but because they didn't know wordings and how it worked, it was very complicated when he died, first of all, wasn't it?
He wanted to leave cash gifts to his grandchildren, and it was clear from what his family were saying that these cash gifts were meant to be available after both him and his wife had passed away.
Right.
But it turned out that the vast majority of the estate was just in this gentleman's name, and instead of leaving everything to his wife first and effectively replicating the cash gifts to the grandchildren, he'd put the cash gifts in his will to come out of his estate first before it got to his wife, which would have meant selling of the property, and all. That wasn't his intention. So again, that was avoidable. It was clear what he wanted to do, but unfortunately
It wasn't written correctly.
no. And you can only know what you know. I mean, some would argue I don't know what I'm doing in this job, but I certainly don't know anything outside of this profession. You know, as I said, you know, I've joked earlier, and I joke quite a bit. You wouldn't come to us for things like a boundary dispute or a personal injury claim, that kind of thing, because we don't know that area of the law, but we do know this area of the law, and we get it right. We've helped over 250,000 people. Our group manages assets over £1 billion now for our clients. But this is all we do. So if you're going to do something, do it right and do it with a reputable company. So that's, again, why we do these shows. We want you to be aware of why a will's important, but we want you to do it right as well.
And why do you think, Emma, people don't get round to it? I think that's the first thing. You just don't get round to it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just, you know, they put it off.
I don't
I'm
need
too
it.
young,
Yes.
or I don't need it yet. And I think it's a little bit of, it's a scary thought, isn't it, making a will?
Yeah.
And I think that's why a lot of people don't do it.
And when you say that, it's a scary thought. But with you guys, it's not, is it? It's
not
a really
at all,
simple...
no.
When you read the 5-star reviews, because you have so many 5-star reviews, and not mentioning particularly simpler law, they mention the person they
team.
spoke to and what a difference, how easy they made it. When we dealt with you, you became friends, really, and not at any point did I think a question was silly, or I didn't think for any moment that I couldn't send another email. Oh gosh, I didn't ask that, and I just flicked an email. I wasn't rushed. You went at our pace.
Yeah.
You just make it so we don't really need to know anything. It's a sit-down conversation. You get all the information out of us, really.
That's right. It's just, like you say, a general conversation with very, very friendly staff, and they're there to help you and support you in what your wishes want to be. So.
They never lose sight of the fact that because they do it every day, they know that our clients don't. So it might be the first time, and like I said, some people come really confident, really prepared.
I know what I want.
And just click of a fingers, it's all sorted. Some people are quite nervous and a bit worried, and by the end of it, as I said, no one regrets doing it, and actually most people find it quite cathartic. And actually, and quite often we'll hear, oh, that wasn't anywhere near as difficult as I thought it was going to be. It definitely isn't difficult. We hold your hand through the whole process. It's definitely not morbid. That surprises people, because they think, think we're going to just be talking about dying all the time, and it's not about that at all. It's about you, it's about your family. And yes, we have to take you to a dark place for a minute. If the worst happened yesterday, what would you like to see happen? And then we ensure that your wishes are carried out. If you don't do that, the government will doesn't do that for you. So please, if you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Just text the word will to 66777, because that's the only way that we can prove to you that what we're saying tonight is true. Our consultants are friendly. I mean, there's a couple that are a bit dodgy. We're saying no names.
I can't kick him from here. They are all
no, look.
They are.
And here's another thing. This is totally risk-free. If you don't like anything that we say, there's a 14-day money-back guarantee. So if you've gone through the consultation, at the end of it, you say, what that guy said on the television is nonsense. I didn't like that person. I don't like anything that's happening. Just say, I want my money back. But no one does that.
Yeah.
But we need you to text us.
And
we
no
need you to
situation
phone us
is
so that
too
we can help you.
complicated, is it? We had friends and we kept saying, you've got to write, I hadn't got a will, and it got so much, and you're like, you've got to write a will. You just don't realise that if you don't. But they were like, it's so complicated. I'm like, so we made them get into contact with you.
You bullied them a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
But it was coming from a good place.
It was coming from a good place.
It was a heartfelt bullying, but no, you did the right thing.
And they were over the moon.
Yeah.
Honestly,
The weight's lifted now, isn't it?
The process was so easy.
Yeah. I mean, you have all the answers.
Yeah.
We're just asking you the questions.
That's what I love. You draw them out.
And you have all the
it is.
knowledge. So even if you are sat at home thinking, well, it's going to be far too complicated. We've got so many children from different partners and this and that and different parents and in-laws and step parents. What am I going to do? Honestly, Simple Law. Well, as it says, they make it so simple. Nothing is complicated.
We mentioned reviews. There's so many great reviews. We are going to share some of them with you throughout the show. This one, first of all, I'd been putting off doing a will because I thought it would be complicated and take ages, but it was so easy. And now I don't have to think about it anymore. That's another great thing. That weight lifted. I can also ring up if I need to change anything. That's another great point.
Yeah.
If you do want to update it, you can go
perhaps
back
you have
and
more
update.
children, perhaps you have more grandchildren, you want to alter things, of course you can always do that as well. Perhaps you've already got a will and you're not quite sure if you've done it right. Of course you can contact
You can still take advantage of these offers.
About those things as well. And offer-wise, oh my word, you have got prices that are better than our regular prices because you've got an extra 10% off. So normally if you were going for a will, I mean, one of the things we think it's scary, we've explained it really isn't. It's so simple to do a will with Simple Law. But you think it's really expensive. And at £249, I thought it would be thousands. I thought it would be so expensive to do. But our normal price, you get a discount on that. £99 is your regular deal. However, we have got an extra 10% off only until close of business on Friday. So it is a special that brings it down to £89. And of course, you can split that cost over those 4 interest-free payments. So £22.25 is all you, that's the first of those 4 payments. That's all you spend straight away. And when you think £22.25, we went out the other night and gosh, a glass of wine was nearly that, wasn't it? Honestly, how much do you spend on those coffees? I can't believe how expensive takeaway coffees are. It's so little money, but it's so important because remember, if you haven't got a professional government, a proper document, there's the government will that will fall in place, and that is not what you want to happen because it will not be what you want to happen with what you've worked so hard for, and we'll explain that again. A will is so important to do legally, and of course that's exactly what you're doing for £89 tonight. And then we have got the lasting power of attorney. We'll go into detail about that.
Yeah, that's something we're going to go into more detail in a few moments for you. So it should be suggested retail price of £349. Our offer price would be £199, but again we've got another 10% discount. That's why it's really important to do it right now. Get in touch right now. £179 comes down to £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments there. And then the best offer of all is if you go for the will and the lasting power.
Yeah, I think sometimes a lot of people, they get in contact and they say, I want the will, and then you sit and listen to the show and you think, oh gosh, I should have done the lasting power of attorney as well. If you decide that, please do not panic. Simple Law, as long as you get in contact and do it today, you've secured all those deals. So if you've only said originally you wanted the will, but you now want the will and lasting power of attorney, they will give you the price that you see on the screen. So normally £598. Our usual special is £269, but you've got that extra 10%, so £242 is your price. And when you split that cost again over those 4 payments, £60.50, that's the first of those 4 payments. So affordable to do and just complete peace of mind, honestly, and so important. Whether it is a will, whether it's a lasting power of attorney, so important that you do it. And so important to do it right now because you'll forget. We're hopeless, aren't we? We missed out on flight prices. We missed out on a weekend away before Christmas and New Year because you
see it and then you don't get around to it.
Didn't read the small print. It finished on October the 1st and then I rang on the 4th. Gone. Finished. £600 more. Not going. So do it right now. But if you do it right now, what you'll also get is this book because we've got 250 of these. that are given to the first 250 people to get in contact. This book's fabulous.
Yeah, it's called What My Family Should Know, and it's basically you record everything that they would need to know if you do pass. But it's not just about the financials, it's about things like digital accounts, passwords, not just for your social media, just for your tablet or your mobile phone.
And it's funny because we discovered how important that was through a relative.
Yeah.
And they had vital information on their tablet and nobody knew the password. It passed far too early in life. They weren't expecting it at all. And no one knew the password, and they're sat having this conversation. What are we going? How are we going to get onto this?
Because that's where we keep everything now.
Yeah, well, it's emails, it's all sorts, personal photographs, and all sorts. And it was only because the grandchild walked past and sort of heard a little bit of what they were saying. It's like, I know Granddad's password, and that's the only reason they managed to get on. In so many situations, if you haven't got that password, you just can't get that information.
And it all in that one place, so it just makes life easier, doesn't it?
I think everybody should have that. As soon as you start work, you should have. Because over the years, how many pensions have you got from different jobs? Can you remember back to all the different jobs you've had and the pensions you started? And that money will be completely wasted. And there's a vast amount of money out there that should be in somebody's pocket, in somebody's bank, that's sat there because people didn't know it was there.
The first 250 people who secure those offers will be able to get hold of that book.
And it always goes really quick. And remember, really easy to get in contact. But if you normally get in contact via our website, you can't you?
Yeah, you can do. Yeah, shopontv.co.uk. Scroll down until you see the Simpler Law logo. Just click on that and it'll take you straight through to those exclusive offers that we've got only till the close of business Friday. Just fill in that form and send it off and you've registered. So you're going to be able to take advantage of those prices.
And it's a really easy form. Even Hayley can fill that in. It's really basic things. And all you're doing right now is securing that deal. So that's the first step. It's the first step that we put off, isn't it? And then once you've done it, it's just that peace of mind, the weight off your shoulders that you've got that job done. It's a bit like tidying the house, isn't it? You do decluttering. The thought of it is horrendous, but once you've done
First step.
Peace of mind. And all you're doing is getting in contact saying, I want to do a will, I want to do a lasting power of attorney, securing that deal, and you know you're halfway there because the rest of the hard work is done by Simpler Law. Honestly, it's so easy.
And the easiest way, remember, is to text. If you just want to send a text, it's as simple as that. Text the word will, WILL, to 66777. You've registered your interest, you've secured those offers that we've been talking about.
As my mum would say, your phone's nearly always glued to your hand, and our phone is always glued to your hand, isn't it? So that's all you've got to do. I don't speak to anybody, just text 66777, just text will, and you've secured those prices because they will go back up at the close of business on Friday. So we've talked about wills.
Yep.
Should we talk about lasting powers of attorney?
Yeah, and there are two different types of lasting power of attorney. Now, you may have heard of wills, obviously. You may have heard of lasting power of attorney, but I think a lot of people don't actually know what it means. So, Emma, could you explain for everyone at home what a lasting power of attorney is?
Sure. So you have two of them. So you've got the property and financial. So obviously that deals with anything, well, with money, finances and your property. And then obviously you've got the health and welfare. But going back to the property and financial one, you can deal with anything like selling your house or claiming pensions benefits, paying household bills.
Because everything's frozen, isn't it, without
this is for someone else to step into your shoes, really. So if someone is extremely poorly, whether that's from illness or my best friend was knocked down by a car in her 40s, you didn't expect it for a minute, instantly incapable of controlling anything. Yeah. And though you presume her mum could take over, or if it was my mum that was poorly, that I could take over, or if it was your partner, that as your partner, you could take over. It's not the case, is it?
It's not. Obviously, in the eyes of the Institute, they're going to protect that vulnerable person. So they're going to lock everything down pretty much to protect them. But with this document, you're basically, on the document it says you're a donor. And you're donating your power to the person that you choose. So
they more or less become you to take all those decisions.
So they are you in the eyes of the Institute at that point. So you can then do everything that, the vulnerable person would be able to do anyway. So pay bills, you know.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanted to
The everyday
buy or
things.
sell property.
Everything we take for granted.
everything.
Yeah, because all those things are still going on,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you want to look after your loved one, but you've got to sort those things out as well. And I did presume, and I don't know why I always thought lasting power of attorney. You want that when you're older, and that's completely wrong.
No.
You should get that, you know, right now, because even if you are, you know, 30s, 40s, you're married, you've got a joint bank account. It's still, if one person is extremely poorly that they can't sort affairs out, even if you've got a joint bank account, it's you're not able to take control.
No jointly held assets become frozen. Even the British Banking Association say that because it's jointly held asset, you're both agreeing to have access to it, and if one of you can't have access to it, then both of you can't.
You just wouldn't think that, would you, as a married couple?
And again, the information isn't readily out there.
No.
You know, unless you start to do quite a bit of research around this, and sadly, it's yet again another thing that people only find out when it's then too late to do something about it. So again, why we do these shows, we don't want to scare anyone. We don't want to scaremonger. In fact, these are documents that you want to have, and then actually just hope that you never need to use them.
Yeah.
We know there's an inevitability to using a will, but with a lasting power of attorney, it can be viewed a little bit like an insurance policy. They're not, let me be clear about that. I call them a what-if document. What if life did throw you that curveball? It's very, very rare today that someone hasn't been touched either directly or indirectly by someone that's suffering with dementia. It's incredibly rare if you haven't been touched by someone directly or indirectly that's suffering with cancer. And so we all know that life's unfair. Human nature is, I'm thinking it as I'm saying it, it's happened to someone else, it won't happen to me.
Yeah, it's not going to happen to
That's
me.
human nature, but we know enough to think that, well, if it did happen to me, what can I do about it? Now, my wife and I have had lasting powers of attorney in place for nearly 20 years. They've changed a little bit as we've got older. They're just there, and we know they're there if they're needed. Touch wood, they'll never be needed. But I don't think about it now. Obviously, I think about it when I do the show, but they're just there in case.
No, when we did Mums, as soon as you've done it, you've forgotten about it. And it is, again, it's just that peace of mind that you know that you can take control. You know, in a situation where, again, emotions are really, really high.
And the process, I think, you mustn't be afraid of doing your lasting power of attorney, or you will, because we went through the process with your mum.
And like I say, we're the biggest worriers. Honestly, we are the world's worst about anything. What was I worrying about the other day? Something ridiculous.
Oh, you still get spoken about in the office, don't you?
But we're terrible.
Do you still see worrying Haleys?
Yeah, that's the nickname.
You just made it so easy. I worry I'm going to say the wrong thing. It's law. I'm not going to know what all the words mean. And you just make it all so simple to do. But what you must understand again, that if you haven't got lasting power of attorney, again, it's taken out of your hands, isn't it? Because I can't look at, do all those things for mum, her bank, and pay her bills if she was too poorly. So what would happen in that situation?
You're quite right, and again, it's either option A or option B. You're either incapacitated, and in option A, you've created a lasting power of attorney, chosen a person or people to step into your shoes to help, or you haven't, in which case you're then relying on the right person to step forward and apply for something called a deputyship order through the Court of Protection. Those are your only two options. And again, I think there isn't enough information out there.
No.
We do these shows to try and help people understand. You can see there from the Court of Protection fees alone, it's £1,100. That annual fee you see there, that supervision fee, obviously, by definition, is paid every year. If you think about the cost of just setting up a lasting power of attorney with us on this show, it's a small fraction of that. And if you had a crystal ball, you'd know whether or not to text the word will to 66777. But all I would say to you is, are you insuring a telephone? Are you insuring a boiler? Are you insuring a pet? Do you insure the contents of your home? We insure all these material things that we can often see, but we sometimes forget to look after ourselves. And sadly, if you don't have a lasting power of attorney in place, then you are waiting for someone to actually step in and try and take on that responsibility.
Yeah.
So not only have you lost capacity, you've lost control over who's actually going to step in and take control, if you like. And that, for me, I use this word control, that's what I want people watching this to understand, is by making a will, you take control of what happens. By making a lasting power of attorney, you've controlled who you give your power to.
Who you trust, who you want.
And all of this is selfless. Because truthfully, whilst you will definitely get something out of the process, I guarantee you that, it's selfless in the fact that it's a really difficult time for your loved ones if you lost capacity. Now, I'm not saying that's made easier, but it's not made more difficult if you've got a lasting power of attorney, because you said, I want my son, my daughter, my wife, my husband, whoever you've chosen can step into your shoes. Now, the document has to be registered with something called the Office of Public Guardian. There's a registration fee that the most is going to be £82 at that point.
We did ours straight away, but you don't have to do it straight away,
Personal
do you?
choice, yeah. And again, we'll hold your hand through all that. We're not patronising when we say we hold your hand. We'll talk to you as if you know nothing, so at the end of it, you feel like you do know everything, because we'll only produce your documents when you're 100% happy with everything. But these, going back to lasting powers of attorney, documents that you really want to have in place and then just genuinely hope that you never need to use them. But once it's registered with the Office of Public Guardian, the people you've chosen just step in and look after you. Without that document, they've then got to go through that court procedure, which is not only incredibly expensive, it takes up to a year for the deputy order to be granted, if it is granted. And all of that's avoidable.
Process.
Yeah,
how long it can take as well.
Well, that can be too late then, can't it, as well? Because if someone's poorly, time is vital, isn't it?
That's the sad thing. Sometimes I do wish, and I know it's a ridiculous thing for me to say, especially on live television, I do wish that we could pick someone up sometimes and just put them in our bereavement department, or put them in the court protection department and say, look, this is happening every single day to somebody, and what would you want for your family? More importantly, when it comes to a will, what would you want for everything that you've worked hard for? But when it comes to a lasting power of attorney, who do you want to give that control to? Because everything that you do today, we wake up in the morning, throw the quilt back and get on with our day, as we should, and we take that for granted. But if there's a day comes where you can't throw that quilt cover back, who deals with everything that you would ordinarily deal with? And that's the key thing, because the assumption that, well, my wife can just do it or my son can just do it, sadly that is incredibly
you
wrong.
do think that, and it wasn't until we realised that that wasn't the case, and we only realised through someone else's sort of bad fortune, really, and we thought we've got to do the lasting power of attorney. And we did it with Simpler Law before they came to us here on Shop on TV, and we went for the property and affairs. But Emma, there was a second lasting power of attorney which we didn't know about until, again, we sat down and spoke to you. Which, when you mentioned it, I said to Mum, I said, well, this is, to me, this is just as important or more important than the property and affairs. So we did both with you.
Definitely. That would be the health and welfare.
Yeah.
So this is obviously the care of your loved one. So things like, you know, what home they're going to go to, if they need to go into a home, sort of daily routine. So who they're going to see even, what they're going to wear, what they're going to eat.
There might be people that you don't want.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
a relation that they fell out with that they don't want to come in and visit them.
Family members, they might not want to see them. And obviously, without this document, you know, people are going to let them in and see them.
Well, I love what it says at the bottom of the screen there. Essentially, you choose someone you trust to manage your affairs, and in the eyes of the institutions and companies that they deal with, they become you. And when it comes to choosing someone, it's, again, that's completely up to you, isn't it?
Absolutely. You can choose anyone you like.
So it doesn't have to be a relative, it can be a friend if you want.
And it might be different. You might want somebody for your property and affairs that you know really understands money.
Yeah,
There's someone
that's going to be good financially.
For your health that you know is more loving and going to be more understanding, sort of thing.
But again, it's your choice.
Yeah.
at the end
We
of
did
the
have a
day.
client once say, I love my son, but I'm not putting him in control of the finances. And you're like, okay. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've taken control of who is going to step in and look after you.
And it is, I think it's important things as well, when we were talking about the health and one side of the lasting powers of attorney. The clothes they wear, what lipstick they like.
Yeah, I mean, if you're loved
That was something that was really important to my friend. You know,
Same
she was
with-
a vegetarian, which
Really? Yeah. Same with my gran. Unfortunately, she's gone into a care home, and she would always have her hair done and her nails done, and now that's kind of taken away. Unfortunately, we didn't have a, you know, health and welfare lasting power of attorney over her. So, you know, it's a struggle, and it's such a stress at an unnecessary time, because it's an emotional time for everybody, isn't it? And then with that added stress, if things aren't going, you know, the way that you would want them to go for her.
It just adds, doesn't it?
Actually, wasn't there a story about a lady, it was Christmas time, and it was the daughter, she went and she was bringing her mum home for Christmas, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was in the news, wasn't it?
Yeah. And if you look these stories up, there are hundreds of them, because again, there's almost that assumption, well, it's my mum, I can
Take her home. It's Christmas.
I can take her home, I want the best for her. But if you think about it logically, we can't just go and get someone out of the care system. And that's unfortunately what happened. And again, because she was a nurse, I think she thought there'd be no risk because I care for people every day, so I can certainly care for my mum for a day. But yeah, I think she was caught up in a supermarket car park. And
By the police, wasn't
By the
she?
police, because of course, whilst it seems like overkill, the care home had to report her as missing. And yeah, but again, if you do think about it for a second,
it makes sense.
Yeah, we can't just decide where people live, and all these things that we talk about with lasting power of attorney, where we talk about what you're going to wear, where you're going to live, they might sound quite trivial, but they become so important when your loved one loses their voice, either physically or metaphorically, and you're like, no, they wouldn't. They said they never wanted to see the brother or the sister, and now you're letting them see him. Know that. So if you give someone your voice, as Emma quite rightly said, as making a lasting power of attorney, you donate your power as the donor. If you donate your voice to someone, you've still got that voice there. If you don't, you lose control.
Yeah.
That's why we do these shows. We want people to take control and understand that it can be taken away from you so easily, but it can be controlled so easily as well. If your phone's in your hand now, just text the word 66777. It'll be one of the best texts you've ever sent. You won't regret doing it.
And you're just taking that first step.
Yeah,
the first
which I think we're rubbish at, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's always that first step, whatever it may be. My mum needed her patio doing. It was treacherous, you know, it was a trip hazard. And it took us about 6 years, I think, in the end. And only because we didn't call anybody. Every year, all of a sudden, it was the end of the summer again. And it was going into, I don't want it done during the winter. It's going to be a real mess. We'll do it in the spring.
There's always an excuse.
And then spring came, and then all of a sudden, summer's gone again, and then we're back into the winter. And when we actually made the call and someone came around, measured and said it's going to cost that much, great, yeah, do it. It was done in about 4 days. And all of a sudden, you think, why did we put that off for 6 years?
And again, it's that weight lifted.
But with a will and lasting power of attorney,
so much more important.
You might not have 6 years. That might be just too late. It's so important you get these things done. Now, remember all the prices, and we've got the prices for the will. You've seen the price there for the lasting power of attorney, but you can combine the two together. They're all incredible deals. And do notice, everything's got an extra 10% off tonight as well.
But it is a time-limited offer. It's only until the close of business on Friday. Let's remind you of all the offers that Simpler Law have brought us. Remember, you're working with experts in the field. You're getting that legally binding document. And tonight, or today, you're just taking that first step. So, first of all, the will itself, it should be a suggested retail price of $249.
Which is actually really good. I thought it'd be really expensive. Yeah. But that's so affordable. But we usually do an offer of £99.
Yeah, £99 is a great offer, but we're giving you an extra 10% discount on that time-limited offer that we've got for you. So it comes down to £89. Simpler Law are then going to offer you directly 4 interest-free payments. So all you've got to pay initially is $22.25 on your first of 4 payments there.
And that's nothing, is it? If you think about what you spend on coffee.
Well, you talk about takeaway coffees, yeah. We went.
If I compare with my gym membership.
Oh no, don't do that.
Actually, my gym membership a month is nearly the same as the will.
And you haven't been for a month.
No. We waste so much money, don't we? And it just goes, we don't even think about it. My gym membership is £69 and I haven't been for over a month.
Yeah.
So this is money so well spent. And when you split that cost, I don't think you'll even notice it's gone, but what you've done is secured that price tonight. You've got that will going in place, and you know that when something does happen, what you want to happen with what you've worked so hard for is going to happen. I always think about Dad, and I hope they, you know, I don't know what happens when you pass, but they look down and see how you're getting on. And can you imagine looking down and seeing your family fall to pieces, falling out because they know what you wanted, but actually the government will's fallen in place because you didn't do a proper will, and then all of a sudden what you wanted to happen isn't happening, and this is where family fallout. So, you know, it's heartbreaking because, you know, emotions are high as it is, and you could have done that for £89 and split the cost. Lasting power of attorney, we just spoke about those, and again, great discounts
and
here.
2 different types, remember. You've got the financial or you've got the health and well-being. Lasting power of attorney, suggested price of $349, comes down to $199 on our usual offer, but with that extra 10% discount, it comes down to £179. With those 4 interest-free payments, just $44.75 is the first of 4 payments there.
And then we just showed you can do the 2 together. So You might have even already secured the price for the will. Perhaps you rang up and said, I want to do a will with you. And said, right, OK, we'll go back in contact with you in the next couple of days. And now you're thinking, oh, I should have said I wanted the will and the lasting power of attorney. As long as you get in contact and secure the prices before the close of business on Friday, I would just do it right now. Just text will to 66777. Whatever price you see on that screen, you've secured it. So even if you just say, I only wanted the will, and then decide you want the lasting power of attorney and the will, you've got the prices you see on the screen, but you must secure them, and we'll explain how to do that. To do it right now, though, you've got added benefits. You've got it done. You won't forget. You won't miss out on the prices, but you'll also get this fabulous book.
Yeah, the first 250 people will get this book. It's called What Your Family Should Know. Basically, it details everything you need to know if one of your loved ones passed, and it's all in one place. You're not hunting around the house trying to find
And Ian,
everything.
how did this start, this book?
It was actually born out of our estate administration department. So when we actually are administering a will, part of the job of an executor is to gather in all the assets and any debts that the deceased may have. And doing quite a bit of research, there were some staggering figures came out of it actually. It's believed in the UK that there's £5 billion of pension pots that have gone unclaimed.
£5 billion.
Yeah, and I took that with a pinch of salt until people started showing me where this had come from, and then I started thinking about my own dad. Now my dad is still with us and he's drawing his pensions, but I couldn't have told you how many jobs he'd had.
Yeah.
That
where he'd had pensions, and
yeah.
so how would I have found them? And so I started to realise that that's probably realistic. Likewise, there's £2 billion of unclaimed life insurance policies that again should be with loved ones. And it's believed there's about £850 million in UK bank accounts that haven't been found when someone's passed away. So again, that comes back to why it's so important to make a will, because we can help you with things like that, with the choice of executor. But certainly this book was born out of that, again, as part of that selfless package, if you like, and that cathartic process of sitting down with a brew and sort of just documenting what you've got. Yeah. And you're right, it isn't just about the material things that we've got. It can be things like passwords and pins, you know, because we live in a digital age now, as we've said before. I can still remember sort of the crusty, you know, photo albums where you peeled them apart and they've gone a little bit yellow.
Absolutely.
And of course, my children have got no idea about that. I mentioned a VHS video the other day. They've never rewound anything in their lives.
You had to rewind them, didn't you? Or you got in trouble.
Yeah, you were fined.
So, and of course, you know, a lot of our lives now, videos, photos, all these cherished things are in a digital format. If that's in a cloud somewhere, it's on a device that's password protected. If you're not leaving that password, these things genuinely can get lost. So again, it all forms part of that planning, and it all fits into that bit of taking control and doing something selfless, because without that, unfortunately, these cherished things can get lost, and of course, worse still, you could end up with a government will, which makes situations even.
We'll talk much more about that in a few moments, but we've got to let you know how to get in touch.
Yeah,
because that's
and
really
do it now
simple.
to get that book, to secure these prices. 3 very easy ways. So you can either jump onto the website right now, simplelaw.co.uk/shop on TV, or the team are in the call centre right now, and honestly, the team are fabulous.
Yeah, 0333 600 2600 is the number. You don't need any documents, you don't need anything with you. It's just about securing those offers, and then they'll secure the appointment at a later date for you. The easiest way and the most popular way is always texting. All you've got to do is text the word will, WILL, to 66777, and then the team will get back to you to get more details.
That is so easy. I'm going to speak to anybody. I enter all the competitions like this. On Friday, I will be winning £548,000
again.
Wow.
Again. But they never ring, but you will win with this. They will get back in contact with you, and you will get the prices that you see on your screen. If you're quite used to going through our website, though, you can do that as well. And then on our website, if you go to that first page, you scroll down round about the middle, and then you'll find our partners, and you'll see Simpler Law right there. Click onto that, gives you the prices that we've got set. Remember, those prices are till close of business on Friday, and how to get in contact. It even gives you the phone numbers and everything if you do want to ring or text. But there's a really easy form. Again, I can fill this in. I'm rubbish with forms. And again, and if you decide, well, I'll just do will, and then you decide again you want lasting power, it's fine. As long as you've got in contact in some way, you've secured whatever deal you decide you want to have, and know that you're doing it professionally, and know that it is going to all fall into place. A will, I think so many of us think, well, you know, Sean and myself, we've been together 34 years and we're not married, and he's never asked me, but we'll...
It's gone to a dark place.
I came a green, so I'm going to go a green.
I was going to argue with you, but I haven't.
But we're not married, and we don't intend to ever get married. But we presumed, because we've been together all these years, I'd rather have a bigger car or a bigger house, that what's mine is Sean's, and what's Sean's is mine. And our family know that. But sadly, if we didn't write a legally binding will with someone like Simpler Law, if one of us passed, that would not have been the case at all, because you would then get the government will, and the government will doesn't care that I've put up with him for 34 years. Doesn't care that he's put up with me for 34 years.
It's just a series of yes/no questions.
We would have been entitled to nothing, yet it was ours.
We'll go into more detail of that with the team in a couple of moments.
And it's not even as easy if you're married. It doesn't work for anybody, does it?
It's just taking that first step. And once you've done that, once you've got in touch and you've taken that first step, the process begins,
and it's
doesn't it?
so easy.
And it's so affordable, as we've shown you. So we're going to go more detail and meet the team again. Ian and Emma are with us from Simpler Law to tell us all about why it's so important. But you are experts in the field, aren't you, Emma? This is where you specialise.
We do. We don't specialise in any other type of law apart from obviously wills and estate planning. So
that's where the specialism comes in, and that's where everybody needs a will, don't they?
It's about control for me, because if you don't make your own will, you're basically relinquishing control of what happens. Your last act on planet Earth won't be your own. It'll be, we call it the government will, but basically a set of rules that was established 100 years ago will determine what happens to everything you worked hard for. So the last thing that happens to your estate, everything you worked hard for, won't be controlled by you, it'll be controlled by the government. And I think we have enough control from the government without getting too political.
Let's not go into that.
But in all seriousness, I think this is where there's a lack of information and there's
I don't think people realise. I think you think if you haven't got a will, whatever you've said to the kids, I told the kids know what's going to happen. You know, obviously, like I say, we presumed each other, it would just go to each other. But that government will doesn't work for, I don't think it affects anybody, because like you say, it's over 100 years old. So even if you're married, it's not going to work, because marriages are so different now with children from different relationships.
It literally is a default position to stop there being anarchy. And that might sound melodramatic, but there has to be a distribution of your estate. So it either happens with the will that you've created,
with your wishes.
So your wishes, your gift to your family, selfless act, which is why we're doing this show tonight. Please make your own will, because the alternative is a set of rules that doesn't care about you or your family and is literally designed just to make sure there is a default position. You can see on the screen there that it basically is a series of yes or no questions. So if you passed away yesterday without a will, the first thing that would be asked of you is, were you married or in a civil partnership? And depending on the answer yes or no would then take you to a series of other questions until ultimately it says, oh, well, everything that you own now goes here. And it doesn't take any account of any of your wishes, doesn't care about you or your family, because it can't know you or your family. Because if you think about it logically, that rules of intestacy, the government will, actually caters for millions of people in the UK. Well, there's only 4 of us around this table this morning, and I dare say that our situations are all very, very different. But yet, if we passed away without a will, we'd all get the same one from the government.
Yeah.
So it doesn't care, it's just a default position. And please don't be fooled. If you're sat listening to me now and thinking, oh, well, that won't be my will, I promise you that will be your will. So if you don't make your own will, you die intestate and you get the government will, and it doesn't care about you. And if you've told your friend or you've told your husband, if you think that you've told someone that what you want to happen is going to happen, again, unfortunately, that gives them no legal power to do that. So that's why we do these shows. We want to say to you, most people know what they want to happen. You know, and they might have some specific gifts, specific heirlooms. They might have something that's really personal to them. And unless they actually make a will, that isn't guaranteed to happen, and actually is more likely not to happen. So please do something amazing for you. Do something amazing for your family. It's a really selfless act. Speak to one of the guys at the office now. They're there. 0333 600 2600. It'll be the best thing you ever did, because no one ever regrets putting a will in place. but your family can certainly regret that you didn't, and that's a heartbreaking thing.
Didn't you have a friend that argued with you virtually because he was married, but they both had a daughter, but from previous marriages, and he was like, "That's not going to happen, Ian. Of course, that's not going to happen if one of us die."
Yeah, it was like he forgot what I did for a living. Yeah, he was adamant that because they were a family and viewed themselves as a family.
Because they lived as a family. The girls didn't see themselves as stepsisters. They were sisters. They'd
been together for over 25 years. So, you know, the first marriages in their mind, both of them had been married previously. Short-lived marriages, but had both had children in that first marriage, and both referred to the first marriage as a blip. Well, it's not unusual for us to meet couples now who are on a second marriage, sometimes even a third marriage. So now they're on their second marriage, and of course they've both been married much longer than their previous relationship.
Right, the first marriages.
They've got two daughters who have been brought up together as sisters, not stepsisters, and they see them as daughters, not daughter and stepdaughter. So in their mind, and rightly so, they're a complete family.
Yeah.
The rules of intestacy, or the government will, doesn't see it like that, because the children are from a different bloodline. So forgive the finger puppets, but if Mr. Smith passed away yesterday, and he's got a daughter, and Mrs. Smith's got her daughter, when he passes away, if everything under the rules of intestacy goes to his spouse, Mrs. Smith gets everything. And that might seem fine because that's what Mr. Smith wants to happen. But then when Mrs. Smith passes away, it only goes to her daughter because it follows her bloodline. And this is where he lost his mind a little bit, going, no, it goes to both of them. And I said, no, that's what you want, but legally it will just go to... And then, of course, he said, well, even if it did do that, such and such would make sure a sister got some money. That's a really precarious position. And why would you want to put one of your children in? You know, that's a lot of pressure, especially when there's a lot of money involved. And sometimes it's not your children making that decision. It might be their spouse or their partner who's trying to have an influence on it.
Yeah.
And again, all of this can be resolved in like 15, 20 minutes with a phone call to us to make sure that actually, well, what you want to happen is that it goes to the girls in equal shares. Well, let's put that in a will for you, take you out of the rules of intestacy and make sure that what you want to happen is definitely going to happen. At which point he went, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
we just don't realise,
he genuinely didn't realise, because, and why would he? Because he's not seeing.
It doesn't make sense, does it? So you think that can't happen, but that is what happens.
He doesn't look at his wife's daughter and think stepdaughter. He thinks daughter, and quite rightly so. The reality is, legally, that's not the case. Legally, she is his stepdaughter because she's not in his bloodline. Yeah. So if he wants her to inherit from his estate and vice versa, that has to be documented in a will. You have to get away from the rules of intestacy. This is why it always sounds melodramatic when I say that we see it rip families apart, but that's literally what it does, because it doesn't care.
And you'd be devastated, wouldn't you, if it was you knew what you wanted to happen, but you just didn't get round to writing that will, and now you're looking down and the whole family's falling out because, and you knew what you wanted. You just needed to get yourself together and get that will written. That's why securing the deals tonight, that is your first step to do that. It's that peace of mind that you're halfway there then. And there's so many more things you can do, because I think initially you think financially.
Well,
you know,
yeah, I think that's the first thing that comes to mind. But Emma, there's so many different things that you can use your will for, isn't there?
Absolutely. So again, you can use it to obviously state who you want.
Now, executors, I think a lot of people have heard of, sorry, I completely cut you off there.
That's okay.
Executors, I thought that's where you were going. I think I heard of executors and I was like, well, what does that mean? What is an executor?
So an executor is someone that you choose to administer your will for you after obviously death.
Right.
So
and
they're
again,
the ones that you trust to do that. Yeah.
So would that be a family member, or could you get a professional to do that? Or
it could be anyone you like. It can be a family member, a friend, or yes, it can be a professional as well.
A combination of both.
Or yeah.
And again, everyone's situation is different. Some people are like, oh, my son and daughter won't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes there might be something that is contentious in the will. They might say, well, I don't want someone to inherit, so actually I might want some professional help at that.
Yes, someone out of the family to
But the key word here is choice.
Yeah.
Well, you can see there on the screen that it says choose your own executors. The rules of intestacy doesn't allow you to do that.
No.
So you don't know who's going to step forward and actually follow the rules of intestacy.
That next one, and I hadn't thought of this, what age your children
That's
inherit.
huge for parents, yeah. Parents of minor children, it's very, very rare actually that parents want their children to inherit at 18.
So that would be the age that they would naturally inherit at.
God forbid parents didn't get to see their children grow up and passed away while the kids were underage. Then under the rules of intestacy, they can receive their inheritance at 18. So whether it's appropriate for them at that age or not is irrelevant, because again, legally, they get it when they're 18. The vast majority of our parents choose 21 or 23, in some extreme cases even 25, because they think the kids will be much more...
Or could you perhaps split, give them a little bit perhaps to go to university at 18 and then...
And everything we're discussing now, this is what I love about when you make your own will. You tell us what you want to do and we can tell you what you can achieve with it. You can't achieve anything with the rules of intestacy. With your own will, you take control. And yes, you're quite right. You might say, well, I'll let them have 20% when they're 18. I'll let them have another 30% when they're 21. I'll give them the final 50% when they're 23.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, you can do with your will. And that's why you need to text us or phone us, because we can't magic it through the air.
And we saw on that list, I think, something else that's really important. If your children are minors, you can choose the guardians.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. So obviously this can, again, be anyone. It's your choice. But you're going to choose somebody that you know and
who's like you,
trust.
who has
That's
your
what
values.
that knows your child as well. If you don't make your own will and you go with the rule of intestacy, you know, your children could end up, worst case scenario, would have stayed, you know, in the foster system.
Or it could
with somebody
cause
that doesn't
family
know
upset,
them.
couldn't it? Because both
Absolutely.
grandparents want...
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a horrible thing to think about, that both parents die and you've got perhaps two or three young children, who's going to look after them? But you can actually put that in your will. And you might not want the grandparents to look after them. It might be your best friend, it might be your sister, and again, you can choose.
Most parents know, don't they? Most parents have got a feeling about where they would, and sometimes that conversation has even happened, or they might even say, again, there's an assumption that perhaps godparents would...
I was just going to say,
But again, that's a religious position, not a legal position. So the will isn't just about, I'm leaving my watch, I'm leaving my jewellery, I'm leaving my house. You can pass on your parental responsibility. And for any parent of young children, that's huge.
That's a massive thing.
It's a horrible thing to think about for a minute. But again, a really selfless thing to do, not just for you, because at least you'll know that your children are going to where you want them to go, but for your kids as well. And again, you've removed this awful decision from everybody else, because you've made it clear and legally documented who you would want your guardians, the guardians of your children to be. My wife and I, we've got young boys. We did it again years ago, and you just hope that the guardians never have to step forward. But again, we don't think about it because it's there, and we know that they're going to go to, you know, the people that love them, and they're going to be loved back.
Yeah, because if you haven't written a will, it's all completely out of your hands. It all goes to this government will. It's something that... It doesn't work for anybody. It's over 100 years old, that government will.
And just a series of yes/no questions.
So we fail on the first question because we've been together 34 years, possibly longer than a lot of marriages, yet we wouldn't be entitled to anything of each other's because we're not married. So
seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
It is
zero,
ridiculous.
You'd be entitled to zero from each other under the rules of intestacy.
And that is one of those misconceptions, I think, isn't it?
Yeah.
We often hear bandied around common law, wife and husband.
Yeah.
But that's not a thing, is it?
It's not a thing, no. And a lot of people think it is because they've been together for however many years. Yeah.
This is when it's too late. This is when it really hits home. Is you're already bereaved, so you're already devastated because you've lost a loved one, and then it's like getting punched in the face at that time because what you didn't think was going to happen is now happening, and people are incredulous because it's like, I can't believe this is happening, and when it's too late, it's too late. So that's it. Look, if you're thinking about making a will or something's been nagging you about, I want to make a will, but I think it's going to be expensive, or I think it's going to be morbid, or I think it's going to be complicated. I promise you, the hardest thing about this is just taking the first step. If you phone a member of the team now, you've done the hardest thing. If you text the word will to 66777 now, you've done the hardest thing, because I promise you, from that point on, we hold your hand through the whole process. We'll give you that control so that you know that what you want to happen is going to happen, and you'll never regret making a will. there's nothing to regret in making a will. It's not like the mullet I had when I was 18. That's very regrettable.
And we've just seen a picture of that before the show.
But in all seriousness, and I know I say this a lot, but it's because I've been doing this for decades, is generally at the end of the consultation, people always say, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I did that. And sometimes there's a little weight lifted, sometimes there's a huge weight lifted that they didn't even know was there. Because we can only advise you if you get in touch with us.
Yeah.
And sometimes that advice is invaluable.
And some fabulous reviews that there are for Simpler Law. We'll share some of those for you as we go through the show. And they all mention the team, the people they dealt with, because it really puts your mind at ease when you're working alongside someone who just makes you relax.
Yeah, Simpler Law, they make it so simple. Tonight, so affordable because you've got an extra 10% off. We always get great deals, but extra special deals, but only till the close of business on Friday. But they do become friends, and when we did our lasting power of attorney with Simpler Law, before they came here to shop on TV, they did the lady I dealt with became a friend. I emailed her, asked her a different question, and when you look at the 5-star reviews, no one really says Simpler Law was great. They say that Alan was amazing, that Charlotte was fantastic.
Yeah, this one here mentioned Charlotte. Our consultant Charlotte explained everything in clear, unambiguous terms. Quite, I did well there reading that one. Pricing was made clear and the cooling off period was explained. Consultant was very pleasant and caring and was sensitive to our needs. All necessary legal terms were explained in plain and simple English.
That's a really good point, because I am I wouldn't have been able to read out, what is it,
unambiguous.
Big words, no
I
good. I
struggled with necessary, but
I don't know how I work on television because I struggle to speak. But any long word, so that would it terrifies me. You know, will I understand? Make it so simple.
Will I do it wrong?
That's it. You know, it's all explained to you. Because legal speak is, unless you understand it, you know, you can't understand it. And that's where things can go horribly wrong if you try to do your own will. And something that I do want to get over, because I know what I've said about us, we're not married, so it wouldn't work for us. If you're married, you've got children from different relationships, the government will that falls into place if you haven't written your own wouldn't work for you. But I think lots of us think that we'd only need a will if we are married, if we have got children, if, you know, if we're later in life. Yeah. If you're single, what do I need a will for? I've got no one to leave it to. But actually, a story you told us when we very first worked with you, and it stayed in my head, and it will stay in my head forever, because it was a young guy who died very unexpectedly, and I'm pretty certain what happened to his estate was not what he would have wanted, but I don't think he'd have even thought about it. Because no, he was young. He was young,
he was successful in his field, and yet sudden death. I remember seeing the interview with his mom and his brother that survived him. And of course, the reason that this story came to light is there was a backstory when this gentleman who sadly passed away unexpectedly, when he was born, his dad left his mom. So his dad left the family. So effectively, mom was left to bring up 2 boys. Dad wasn't in the picture. Not even birthday cards, so no contact with his father at all. So fast forward 40 odd years, and unfortunately this gentleman's then passed away. He's not made a will. We'll never know why. We'll never know whether it's because he was too young, he thought, I'm single, I've got no one to leave it to, or whether he just assumed it would perhaps go to his brother or his mom, I don't know.
I think a lot of it is assumptions, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, because we keep saying and banging this drum, if you pass away without your own will, the government will come into play. So unfortunately, he's passed away. The first question that was asked of him was he married or in a civil partnership? The answer was no. The next question that's then asked in that series of questions is, did he have children? He didn't have children, so the answer was no. The next question is, did he have parents? Well, the answer is yes. We know about his mom because his mom's sort of half telling this story. His mom then, who's obviously no parent should lose a child, has then got to, at this awful time, track down her ex-husband, who walked out on them 4 decades previous to say, you're entitled to half of our son's estate.
What a nightmare.
And people say, oh, no, that won't be right, that can't happen, that doesn't seem right. And some people are absolutely, no, that's ridiculous, that won't happen. And it's like, that did happen, that does happen. And sadly, it happens every single day because people are passing away intestate every single day. And it's because It doesn't care about us. It literally is a default position.
And that's what we're looking at right there. So if you haven't written your own professionally written legal will, that government will falls into place straight away.
Yeah, and it doesn't. There's nothing personal about it.
No.
So it doesn't care about you. It doesn't care if you want to leave, specific gifts. It doesn't care if you want to make charitable donations. It doesn't care if you want to make uneven distributions. So you might want one child to have a little bit more than another for various reasons.
Or you might want a child not to have because they've left the family years ago.
You'll be amazed how many clients we speak to who feel a little bit embarrassed sometimes to say, well, I haven't got a relationship with this person. Like, don't be embarrassed by that or put off making a will for that. In fact, you should make a will specifically for that reason, because otherwise that person is likely to inherit under the rules of intestacy. But you'll be surprised at, well, blood isn't thicker than water. It's not unusual for lots of clients to say, I haven't got a relationship with this person and therefore I don't want them to benefit.
That happens, doesn't it?
And sometimes, though, again, what happens is this person will say to the child that is benefiting, just so you know, I want to make sure that you get everything and I don't want your brother or your sister to get anything, thinking that's enough.
But
and of course, they pass away without a will, and the will says that it's going to go to your children in equal shares. So please, if you've been thinking about a will, the best thing you can do tonight is stop thinking about it and do the hardest thing, because the hardest thing in this whole process is getting in touch with us.
That first step.
Yeah, the team are there now. 0333 600 2600. You'll speak to someone brilliant now. They're ready to take your call. Best call you'll make this morning. Or if you don't want to speak to anybody, just text the word will to 66777. You'll secure the deals, and again, it'll be the best thing that you do with regards to estate planning, honestly. But in all seriousness, you can't know the value of what you're about to do without taking that first step. And in some cases, people have really had their eyes open and gone, I didn't realise if I'd not done that. And it's like, I am so glad I did that. And if at the end of it, at the end of the consultation, you think that I'm full of nonsense this morning, you've not enjoyed the consultation, it's not what you thought, just ask us for your money back and we'll give you your money back. But I promise you that won't happen.
No.
But please send the text or make the phone call.
Take that first step.
You won't regret it. And that genuinely is, I'm not being facetious, that genuinely is the hardest part of this. After that, speaking to a member of our team is easy because we've got all the questions and you've got all the answers. And remember, these are your documents, they're not ours. This is your will. And to take you out of the rules of intestacy genuinely is invaluable.
And that's exactly what will happen, sadly, if you haven't got a legally binding will. It's no good just writing it on a piece of paper, and we'll explain how you can go wrong with templates. You want a legally binding will that makes sure what you want to happen, to what you've worked so hard for, actually does happen. Otherwise, that government will fall into place, and we haven't found one person that government will is right for, whether you're in a partnership that you're not married but you've been together for 50 years, or whether you're married but you've got children from different whether you're a person on your own, whether you want to leave everything to your best friend and you've told everybody but it won't happen, it will probably go to a long lost cousin who lives out in Australia or something. Honestly, the government will just doesn't work for anybody. And I think so often you think, it's going to be really expensive though to do, isn't it? It's going to be really complicated, it's going to take such a long time. And it's none of those things.
It's all those things that put you off initially, isn't it? Well, we're dispelling all those myths for you tonight, bringing you amazing prices, working with professionals, and they're legally binding documents. But all you've got to do is take that first step, and you're securing these offers.
And that's what we're rubbish at, isn't it? The first step. We put things off, don't we? Well, we'll do it next month. We'll do it the month after. Our producer, oh my goodness, it's taken a 18 months of us doing shows for her to still get round to doing the will. But we're good at that, aren't we? Because, I'm just too busy now, I'll do it next month. Then next month comes and goes. Yeah.
I love what you're saying. Yeah, that's a great slope. Life gets in the way.
You'll go to bed tonight with every intention of doing it tomorrow, but then tomorrow will take over.
Yeah.
And this conversation, believe it or not, after one night's sleep will be long forgotten. The opportunity passes. So don't miss the opportunity, because as I said, you've got nothing to lose, absolutely nothing to lose in everything.
And sadly, sometimes tomorrow never comes. I think, it is something that if you don't do it now, you just don't know what's around the corner. And then it is going to be too late, and you could cause a complete family upset because they know what you wanted to happen, but actually the government will has changed all that, and it's completely opposite to what you wanted to happen. So please have a look at our prices. If you're thinking it's going to be too expensive, take a look at our amazing deals today. And remember, these deals are only up until close of business on Friday. Extra savings on our regular price.
And the other thing to remember is you don't need anything with you right now. You don't need any documents. You don't need any information. You're just securing these offers. So first of all, the will that we've been talking about. If you want to write yourself a will, a suggested retail price of £249 for me, that's really reasonable for what you're getting. However, our offer price is even better at £99. But today we've got a further reduction, another 10% off the price. So it comes down to £89. Don't even have to pay that today. £22.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. So if you want to spread the cost, you've got that opportunity as well.
And when you spread that cost, it's so affordable. What do you spend £22.25
Just over 70p a day.
It's nothing, is it?
Amazing.
And it's done. You've got that will sorted. Honestly, you can't afford to miss out on that deal. So do it now, because you will forget, and then it will be too late, and you'll have missed that extra 10% off. So do it right now, and we'll explain how to get in contact. You can, of course, and we'll go back into lasting power of attorney. Do your lasting power of attorney alongside, of course, simpler law. Normally that would be £349. Our normal saving takes it down to £199, but you have got an extra 10% off today up until close of business on Friday. So £179 is your price. And again, when you split that cost, £44.75 is the first of those 4 payments. Now, we will explain lasting power of attorney. It's so important, and there's 2 different ones which we'll explain too. But then you might think, and you might have already secured the will, and you're thinking, oh gosh, I want to do the will and lasting power of attorney. If you change your mind, as long as you get in contact in some way, you have secured whatever deal you want to go for. So even if you've only asked for the will and then you say, could I have the lasting power of attorney as well, you will get this deal, which should be £598. It's, as our special normally, £269, with the extra 10% off, £142, which is great.
242 it is for your will and lasting power of attorney on that offer price. And with those interest-free payments, £60.50 on your first of 4 payments. Remember, the first 250 clients will also receive What My Family Should Know book. That book,
that's great.
It's a really essential, because it records everything that's really important. You know, when we do lose someone, unfortunately, you're searching around the house trying to find things like pensions, bank details.
My mum's got so many
policies.
secret cubby holes and hiding spots and boxes of things. It would take absolutely forever. It's all in there. But also things that perhaps you wouldn't think about, like your passwords for your phones and your tablets.
Yeah, they're so important now, because we record so many things on our phones and tablets.
But remember, this is another reason to do it right now. Only 250 of those, they normally always go. So do make sure you get in contact in any of these ways. Take a look, because then you have secured the deals and the prices, and then Simpler Law will get back to you at a time that's convenient for you to really sit down and talk through it. And of course, you've secured the book as well.
simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV, going directly to Simpler Law. You can call the call centre. The team are there right now, right through to the end of the show. 0333 600 2600, or you can text the word WILL, WILL, to 66777. If you do want to text, it's the simplest way. It's always the most popular way.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Phone's right there in your hand. Again, you don't need any documents. You don't need any information right now. You're just securing those offers.
Sometimes you just don't really want to talk to anybody, do you? We're a bit like that. You've talked all day, or perhaps you're just about to go out to work and you think, I haven't got time. Perhaps you're just about to go to bed and you think, the last thing I want to do is get into a conversation with somebody. Just text WILL, 66777. That's it. You've done it. You've secured whatever deal you want to go for. You've done it. That is the first step. And now you know you've got that peace of mind that will be done. Or the lasting power of attorney, whatever you're doing. And remember, if you do normally go via our website, you can. And if you go via our website, all you need to do is scroll down to about halfway down.
Yeah, our on-screen partners are right there. Just click on the Simpler Law logo. It takes you through to those exclusive offers. But remember, those exclusive offers only through until the close of business on Friday. It's really simple, really straightforward. Just fill out that little form form. Let Simpler Law know which offer you want to go for. But if you do change your mind, as Hayley said, those offers will be secured for you, whatever you want to go for. There's even a QR code on the screen. If you want to scan the QR code that you see right there, you can. They'll take you through to those exclusive offers as well.
Yeah, you do that with your phone with the camera. It's
Well done.
very clever.
Well done.
I can do.
Every day's a learning day for Hayley.
Every day is a school day for me. It's so important to get a will because sadly, if you haven't got a legally binding will, you will get that government will. And I think lots of us think, but everybody knows. And I think we think the same with lasting powers of attorney. And you might think, I think I've heard that name, but I don't really know what that is.
I think people have heard of it more so now because it's more prevalent because of things like dementia, lasting powers of attorney. But if you've heard of the term and you don't know exactly what it means, we'll get Emma to explain what a lasting power of attorney is, Emma, if you would.
So a lasting power of attorney is a document basically that gives somebody that you choose the power to step into your shoes if you lost capacity, if you were in an accident, or as you said, if you have dementia, and then they can take control of. So, for instance, one of the lasting power of attorney is your property and financial. So they can take control of all your finances, deal with your bills or your mortgage or, claiming benefits or
Because life doesn't
pensions.
stop if you get an illness,
No, of course
does
it
it?
doesn't.
Everything
And
still
even
You've
goes on.
still got to pay your bills. You've still got to,
And even if you're married and it's your partner that it's happened to, and you would presume that you could just take over those bills. You're married, you've got a joint account. Surely I can take over everything now. Or for me, I look after my mum. Everybody knows, I've got the best interests for my mum. So surely I can sort out all of her affairs. But that isn't the case, is
No,
it?
a lot of people assume that way, but unfortunately, no, it's not the case.
It's a natural presumption, but when you
Yeah.
think about it logically, you wouldn't be able to take control when they're well. would
No,
you?
of course you wouldn't. I couldn't go to my husband's bank and say, I'm here to take £200 out for him.
It'd be
They'd just be
nice.
like, no, you're not the account holder. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And even if we had a joint account, because we've got a joint account, just because my name's on it doesn't mean that, I'd still be able to use that.
So
Again,
if he was poorly, you would...
Absolutely.
Because his name's on it, he would
Yeah.
still need to say it's okay.
That's right, yeah. So obviously that would probably get frozen as well. So then I can't even access my own money because of that.
Yeah.
Houses get stuck, jointly owned houses get stuck as well.
Oh, gosh,
any
yes.
jointly held asset. There is an understandable assumption that if you're in a relationship, you should, you trust each other and you should just be able to step into each other's shoes. And sadly, again, the reality that you can't do that often comes when it's too late. So that's why Emma's quite right. The only way to make sure that you can donate your power to someone is through the lasting power of attorney, because then you're choosing that person or people, because you can have more than one attorney to actually step into your shoes and actually carry out your affairs. All these things sound quite trivial when you've got capacity. And I like what you said, Sean, when you said, I can't go in and access someone's account now or do
No.
anything when they're well.
Yeah.
So when you apply logic to that situation, what makes you think that you can go in when they've become unwell? Because actually become
No.
more protected.
Yeah.
Well, you had a case the other day when Hayley was out with a mum.
We
that were in
went to the bank. I went with my mum to the bank for mum. She was tired, so I sat her down. I went to the counter and I put a cheque in, and they let me put the cheque in. But then I said, "Oh, mum wants some." She wanted just some payment slips because she'd run out. And they went,
Are you
"Well,
the account holder?
you're not the account holder." I said, "Well, she's over there." They said, "Well, we'll need to." So I had to take mum over to the counter.
And
then
it's
and she
right,
said,
then.
yeah, which was right. But then they still wouldn't let her have it because she had no form of identification. So you
Makes
still
sense,
can't,
yeah.
and we weren't
But
trying
it's
to take
right.
money out or anything, but
it's
they
We
get-
but we
as
couldn't have
individuals-
access.
Yeah, and as individuals we get frustrated, but deep
It's
down we
right.
understand because we'd be
Yes.
fuming if someone just rocked up. No, I really,
course.
if I went, no, I really am Hayley.
It's okay.
It's not
I
going
was
to
like,
work.
I've put a cheque into the account. We just want payment slips, but they
Yeah.
wouldn't do it because I wasn't
No,
mum. Mum didn't have a form of identification.
I once phoned up a very well-known telecommunications provider just to change, to report a fault, not to change anything, not to do anything financial, just to report a fault. But because my wife's name was on the account, they wouldn't even let me do that. And I'm like, I'm phoning from the line that the fault is on. And they were like,
it's not
yeah,
yours.
you're not the account holder.
And that goes for
Yeah.
everything, I think, if you think...
We've all experienced something
But
like...
there has to be those rules, doesn't there? And if someone is really
So
poorly,
multiply that by 1,000
Yeah.
by right. So your loved one now has lost capacity to do anything. So you're trying to look after and deal with them, and then you realise that you can't actually step into their shoes. That's when a really bad situation can actually
because
be made worse.
what does happen then if you haven't got lasting power of attorney and your loved one has been in a terrible accident, has got dementia? How do you then try and help and take control of things?
Well, when you say you're talking about the loved one who wants to help, because of course if the person who's lost capacity, they can't do anything now because they've lost capacity. So the person who's lost capacity is hoping that
Someone
it's-
will step in.
and it's the right person, and they have to apply for what's called a deputyship order through the Court of Protection. So again, it's very option A, option B. You either lose capacity and you made a lasting power of attorney, so you've chosen the people that are going to step into your shoes, or option B is you didn't make a lasting power of attorney, so now you're hoping that the right person actually applies to the Court of Protection. And as you can see there, just the potential cost. This is if you do it yourself and don't employ any professional help. The application fee alone is £421. So that's over double what we're suggesting you can do a lasting power of attorney for. So the total cost, including an annual fee, which is obviously ongoing for however long you need the supervision, is £1,100 if you do it yourself.
If you do it yourself.
And again, most people end up turning to professionals to help deal with the court process, and it runs into more thousands than that. But weirdly, I'm going to say that's not the biggest problem, the cost. The biggest problem is it can take up to a year for the actual process to unfold and for the deputyship order to be granted or not, as the case may be.
And remember, our prices now are down to £179. So if you want to go for a lasting power of attorney, it should be almost £349. £179 is the price.
Fabulous deals you've got. But so important again that you've got that control, which is what it's allowing you to do, to step into that person's shoes. Because if it's going to take a year could be, for a start, too late.
Yeah.
But then you've wasted that year trying to fill in forms, try and go into court. You've had to find all that money, and you've missed all that really important time when you should have been sat next to your loved one, looking after your loved one.
No, it's awful, and the frustration that surrounds that situation is almost unbearable. And the frustration, which sounds really selfish on our part as professionals in this sector, is that could have been fixed with a 15-minute phone call. And that's the thing. These are what-if documents. You know, these are documents that you hope your family are never going to have to use, but you'd much rather have them in place and know that your wishes can be carried out than not have them. You know, if you had a crystal ball and you could see that your life was perfect and you never needed them, great, don't do it. But none of us have got that crystal ball.
No, you don't know what's around the corner, do you?
No, and whilst these aren't an insurance policy, I always think of them in a similar sort of way.
Yeah.
I call them the what-if document. You know, what if life did throw you that curveball? And I'm always amused by the fact, amused is perhaps the wrong word, but I'm always amused by the fact that we'll insure things that we can see. We'll insure things like a boiler.
Physical thing.
Yeah, we'll insure our phone.
My mum insured her dishwasher. We've got a family dishwasher. She turns it on once a week. And she said, oh, Hayley, do you think I should cancel this insurance? She'd been insuring it for years. We could have bought about 30 dishwashers on the insurance she was. I said, yeah, cancel it. You don't even use it. And if it broke, you'd happily wash up. But we insure all these things because we think it's really important.
Yeah,
whereas actually, we're really important.
Yeah, and I'm not being critical of that. I mean, because of my background and because I see life throwing curveballs everybody all the time, I mean, my insurance is silly, frankly, but then I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't do what I'm encouraging everyone else to do. But it is quite interesting that you will speak to people and they'll pay. You know, I was shocked because I haven't got a pet at how expensive vets are in pet insurance. Yeah. Hundreds of pounds in some cases, and I get that they love their animal, that's why they're paying it, but you also love your wife and you love yourself. Yeah. So you'll pay to insure your dog or your cat or your parrot, but we forget to look after ourselves. So if life throws your pet a curveball, you're covered. If life throws you a curveball, you're not, and there's an imbalance there. And I think, again, it's because we don't realise that actually we do need an element of protection if life does throw us that curveball. Because whilst having a lasting power of attorney doesn't make a situation of a loved one losing capacity any easier or better, what it definitely doesn't do is make it worse. And as you said a minute ago, actually not having a lasting power of attorney makes a really bad situation so much worse than it needs to be, because then you've got to deal with the courts and you find out all these additional problems when all you want to do is care for your loved one.
Yeah, definitely.
So again, it's selfless. It's a text away, it's a phone call away, but don't go to bed on it.
No.
Because tomorrow morning, life will get in the way and you won't do it. So if the phone's in your hand, make that phone call now or send the text. That's the hardest
And don't
thing.
presume that it's all going to be okay, even if you're married and you've got joint accounts. It doesn't work. That joint account can still be frozen because that one of you isn't able to say that it's okay to use that money. Didn't you have a story about a lady and she had to keep going back to the court to pay for her daughter's school fees each time?
She was limited.
She had to, yeah, because the deputyship order was granted, it had a limit on what she could pay without actually permission. And so, unfortunately, her husband was knocked down and he controlled the finances. So when she was finally, so his own wife had to get permission. When she was finally granted that permission, the school fees that she had to pay for her daughter were in excess of the limit the court had set. So she had to ask permission of the court to pay for her own daughter's school fees. And again, it seems ridiculous, but again, you kind of understand it because this gentleman didn't make a lasting power of attorney, so she couldn't just
access of.
And that's the difference. See, if I did a lasting power of attorney and I said, you two are my attorneys, if the worst happened to me yesterday, you can just register that document with the Office of Public Guardian and you just get on, because I've explicitly said I trust you to make decisions for me. And that's it, you just do it. If I don't name attorneys, who steps forward? And that's how the court look at it. Is this person really...
So they challenge it, they question.
By definition, they're the court of protection. They're there to protect the vulnerable person, which husbands, wives, sons, daughters find almost borderline offensive, because of course they want the right thing for the mom, but you've got to understand the court of protection are there to protect the vulnerable person.
So you have to prove it, you have to pay.
Pay to prove
that
it as well.
And it can take up to a year for them to actually decide
use your money.
whether it is that you are the right person. So it could be far too late. Now there's two different lasting powers of attorney.
We've only covered one half. Haven't we?
I went to Simple Law, well, we went to Simple Law for Mum's lasting power of attorney and went for the financial side of things, because that's all we knew about. But then when we sat down, because this is why it's so important to talk to people like the people at Simple Law, just chatting, they said, well, you do know there are two types of lasting power of attorney. I was like, oh, we'd only heard of the financial side. And when they explained there was a health side to it, Emma, I was like, this is as important, or more important actually to me, that I'm looking after Mum's health, provision. So that this is a second lasting power of attorney. And can you explain what we can do with this one?
So with this one, with the health and welfare, you can decide where your loved one's going to live if they do need to go into care. You can decide, down to the smallest things of what they're going to wear, you can decide on life-sustaining treatments as well, what they're going to eat, what kind of holidays, day-to-day stuff. Would they normally go on holiday with you?
Well, if someone's a vegetarian and they go into a home and they don't know they're a vegetarian, you know how much it would upset them if they were being given meat.
Yeah, those big
And
meats,
you've got that control. Or perhaps someone loves, and I know it sounds silly, but if my Auntie Cora loved her nails painted, and she would have been devastated if her nails didn't look pristine all the time.
Yeah.
Or like you were saying about your nana and having a hair done.
It's just simple things like that.
But are so important in that situation.
They are so important to
They
them.
seem really trivial when you've got capacity.
When you choose to do it,
And get heightened when that's taken. It's like anything else in life. If something gets taken away from us, it's like I don't particularly want to drink a water now. But if someone came and took that away from me, I'd be like, I want to drink a water. And I'm not trivialising it. I'm not trivialising it, but these things don't seem that important when you say,
it might be
what
your dad loves to be clean shaven and they're letting a beard grow, and you know that it'd be devastated to think that, or vice versa.
Just making sure that your voice is with someone that you trust that can say, no, that isn't right, or this is what they want to happen. And no, my dad made it clear he never wanted to see his brother again, or he never wanted... All the things are heightened when someone loses capacity. And you're quite right. I mean, they're two very different documents. Most people understand that money makes the world go round, and whilst institutions might be sympathetic to a situation, money still needs to be paid, bills still need to be paid, houses still need to be looked after and or sold, etc. And you need the authority to do that. But the health and welfare, Emma said something earlier, which is quite right, it's much more emotive, because it is about how that person's cared for. The money, we can deal with that. That's very, that's decimal points.
Yeah.
But the health and welfare is really about, right, how are you going to care for your loved one? What would they want? What would they like to eat? How do they like to present themselves? Would they want to be in this care home 40 miles from where you are? Can we get them closer? Because you've got a voice about anything that you don't like that's happening, you're their voice. And again, you can only understand how important this document's going to be if it's ever needed. And it can only be used at the point of need if you send a text or a phone call today.
And you get a lot of too late calls, don't you?
Sadly, yeah.
Because if it's too late, if someone is already suffering with dementia or someone's already been in an accident and perhaps is in a coma or something, that time for them to decide what they wanted to happen has gone.
Yeah, there's something called the Mental Capacity Act 2005, and you have to be compos mentis. There's only you can make a lasting power of attorney. Someone can't do it for you. And the only time that you can make a lasting power of attorney is when you have the capacity to do so. So sadly, if you're deemed to have lost capacity, that, as you quite rightly said, is too late. And unfortunately, we do get those phone calls a lot. And then we have to say, well, the only route open to you, we're back to the court of protection. And again, you think, oh, if 6 months ago, a year ago, if they had that crystal ball up, and and sometimes people go, I don't know why mum or dad didn't do that, and you're like, we can't answer that, I'm afraid. They're not our clients, but we can help you with the court of protection.
I think we always think we've got tomorrow, haven't we? We put things off.
Don't we?
And I think for me as well, where I was completely wrong is I think lasting power of attorney is for someone when they're older, but sadly, life isn't that kind anymore. You're not guaranteed to live into your 80s. Something could happen in your 30s.
I think the youngest person who's been diagnosed with dementia in the UK now is in the 20s, which is terrifying. But granted, they're isolated cases, thankfully. But look, we never know.
No.
All we can do is help you plan for the worst and hope for the best. And in a weird way, it'd be great if it was a waste of your time and money having a lasting power.
I love what you said.
And I mean that in the nicest possible way. Imagine getting to your 110th birthday, absolute the healthiest you've ever been, and then just shuffling off the mortal coil in your sleep, and your last thought was, why did I listen to that man on the telly? I never needed those lasting powers of attorney.
I'll take that, yeah.
But what if 40 years early life had thrown you that curveball? That's when your family, not just you, but your family as well, will be grateful that you did it, because taking control of that situation makes a bad situation no worse. I won't say it makes it better, but it definitely doesn't make it worse, because basically the person or people that you've chosen to step in and look after you can just do that because you did something amazing today.
And sadly, if you haven't got lasting power of attorney, whether that is financial or that is health and welfare, you have to then go through the courts to try and prove that it is you that should look after your partner, look after your mum, sort their financial affairs out, choose which home they're going to go into. And sadly, that can cost, as you see there, that total is £1,100, but then you've got an annual fee there. And I know it's a thick book that you've got to try and fill out yourself. So you're probably going to you're probably going to need help to understand the forms you need to fill in.
It's time and inclination, and again, if you're trying to care for a loved one, it's just when you do see the court of protection application forms, they are quite daunting. So it's not unusual for people to turn around and say it's cost £3,000, £4,000, £5,000 once they've used a professional to actually get through the court process. All of that is avoidable, but the hardest thing to do, genuinely the hardest thing to do, without being facetious, is send a text or phone a member of the team now. Because getting the ball rolling to put these in place is the most difficult thing to do, because actually speaking to a member of the team is really easy.
And Hayley, I mean, the whole process, you went through it, didn't you?
And we went through it because we had lived through
and we
fire.
generally didn't know you then, didn't we?
No, we did. We honestly didn't. We hadn't worked with you, no. And I heard about Simpler Law, got in contact. We'd heard about lasting power of attorney because of someone else's sad situation, and we thought we've got to get this sorted before it's too late. Both mum and me petrified of anything, saying the wrong thing, asking the wrong question, not understanding what someone said. Not at any point did we feel we asked a silly question. Not at any point did we feel we didn't understand.
The other thing to point out there as well, you didn't have to go into an office.
No, no.
The whole appointment can be done over a Zoom
Yeah,
call.
absolutely. The comfort of your own home, you can have a cup of tea.
We did. We had
be
a
in
cup
bed
of
if
tea.
you really wanted to, you know.
It's at your speed, it's at your comfort.
Yeah, we were never
We should
rushed.
qualify you don't have to be in bed to do it.
But you can be.
If you wanted to, we can't. You're on the phone, we can't see you.
What we will do, when you contact us, what we will do is we will make a time that's convenient for you. Before you sit your appointment, we'll send you a little bit of information out as well to have a read through if you want to. You don't have to, because our consultants will hold your hand through the whole thing. Then we'll sit down, we'll start the consultation. You have all the answers because these are your documents. We have all the questions. We'll ask you what you want to achieve and we'll make sure that's achievable. We'll only produce the documents once you're 100% happy with what you've told us. And as important, if not more so, you're 100% happy with any advice that we've given you. Whether you take our advice or not is entirely up to you. It's just important you understand it. But the bottom line is at the end of that, you will get the documents that are right for you. Then we contact you to make sure you're in receipt of them, that you understand them, that you're happy with them. And then we help you make sure that they're signed, dated and witnessed correctly.
Because that's so important.
Even in this digital age, both lasting powers of attorney and wills need wet signatures on and they need to be witnessed. So a will needs to be dated, signed in front of 2 independent witnesses, and lasting powers of attorney have to be signed in a very specific order. Now, I don't want this to sound daunting because I assure you it's not.
No.
But we help you with all of that.
You make sure that we do it right, and you did that for us.
Yeah.
Because we did, and you can actually watch a video as to who signs first and how you sign, and it is really, really easy. But what we didn't realise is one of the ladies that we got to sort of sign, and to witness, a lady we'd lived next door all my life. We'd lived next door to her. Mum had moved in, and she was like the daughter of the family that lived there. We'd known her for years. And we didn't know, she'd always gone by her middle name. So when she actually signed and wrote, she wrote they were different. So how she wrote a name to how she signed a name was, and you picked up on that and you said, well, this isn't matching.
And it wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah.
So we just put it right.
Yeah.
But
we wouldn't have known that, and it could have been that it would have made a difference.
Absolutely. There's every chance that the Office of Public Guardian, and this is another sad thing, is sometimes people, because you can do lasting powers of attorney yourself as well, but when you've gone to register it, if it's failed and rejected, and they are extremely bureaucratic about this, if once you've registered it, it's rejected, and that person who's a power of attorney you've gone to register has now lost capacity, you're back to square one.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So it's really important to get it right. So we offer a free validation service for all our clients. So we'll say whether they decide to register it now or you decide to keep it safe, which is your prerogative, we offer that service as well. So as I said, it's not just about the text or the phone call today, it's about the consultation in between, you being happy, it's about us helping you sign and date it and witness it correctly, and then us actually rubber stamping that and saying these documents will work. That's invaluable. Too many times we've heard of people with documents in a drawer, they've half started, incomplete. In the nicest possible way, we won't let you do that.
Great.
You know, we'll make sure that what you want to happen is going to happen.
And I think that's what a lot of us need. We just need that helping hand, don't we? We just need that. And that's what you're doing today, is you're securing all these incredible deals that we've got. But remember, we've only got them up until Friday at close of business. So you're securing those prices. But it's that first step to make sure you actually get it done. We put everything off, don't we? Or we start something and don't finish it. What Simpler Law will do will make it really easy. We'll make sure that it's done correctly. And whether it is your lasting power of attorney, whether it is your will, that what you want to happen is truly going to happen because you've got a legal binding, will or lasting power of attorney that you know is correct, and they make it so simple to do.
And it's your wishes, so that's the thing. Like Hayley said, taking that first step.
It's your last gift to your loved ones.
Exactly.
And whether that is the will, because what you want to happen with what you've worked out so hard, you know who you don't want it to go to, you know who you want it to go to. You're in control, and so you know you've done that. And when you look down, because I believe you will go and you'll look down and see how everybody is, you won't be looking down in that situation where you didn't write that will and everyone's falling out because they know Dad wanted that to happen. You know, Mum wanted that. No, they didn't want her to have that. So you know that you did that right thing. But lasting power of attorney, the same. You know, it's so upsetting if someone's extremely poorly and then they've got to try and fight to try and help look after you and pay your bills and decide what care home you go into. There's such important things to get right, and Simpler Law will do all that hard work for you.
And experts in the field bringing you fantastic offers, but time limited until the close of business on Friday. Let's run you through all those offers that we've got for you, whether it's the will, the lasting power of attorney, or the combination. So, first of all, the family estate and will. The regular price, the suggested retail price, should be £249. Our offer price was brilliant at £99. However, we're going to reduce that a further 10% down to £89. And I think that's one of the things that puts people off. They think it's going to be really costly.
Yeah, you'd never think it would be so affordable. Even £249. I thought it'd be thousands of pounds to get a will written, and so affordable. And of course, with those 4 payments, splitting that cost, £22.25, that is nothing. That's the first of 4 payments. I mean, what do you spend on perhaps coffees? They're so expensive. You drive into that drive-through, how much do you spend? Or even just going through the garage and you pick up a sandwich, a newspaper, packet of crisps. Before you know it, you've popped into the supermarket. You've spent £60 and you haven't even got a whole dinner. It's absolutely nothing, but it's so important to have that will written legally, and that's exactly what you've done for that first payment of £22.25. 4 of those payments done and dusted. Then lasting power of attorney, we've just spoken about that, and again, fabulous discount.
I really think it's just as important as a will.
Yes.
When you hear the details of how important that is, that it's not an insurance policy, but it's that what if document, and if you've got it in place, just hope that you don't ever have to use it. But a great price there as well. At £349, it's a good price on the suggested usual price, down to £199 on the offer. But again, we're going to give you that extra 10% discount for the duration of the show and right through till the close of business Friday. It comes down to £179. That's £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments there.
Well, perhaps you're thinking, well, actually, definitely I need to do that will. I've been meaning to do it forever. And then you think now, gosh, yeah, the lasting power of attorney should do that as well. We've got a really nice combined deal that Simpler Law very kindly put together for us because so many people wanted to do the two. So you've got a massive saving here. As you can see there, normally $598. Our regular sale price, that 10% off, takes it down to $269, but you have got that extra 10% off, taking it down to £242. And again, when you split that cost over those 4 interest-free payments, £60.50. And honestly, our takeaways are really, we've got 2 really nice Chineses. We struggle to get one takeaway for 6, just for us to, well, we get some for Mum as well.
How many meals are you buying?
Honestly, it's great
We
food.
don't just have a main course.
But it's, we have a starter, a bit of duck, and then we have some mains to mix. But that's one takeaway is one of those payments, honestly. Everything is so affordable, but these are more important than those cups of coffee, that takeaway. Honestly, this is money so well spent. And remember, do it right now. I know we keep saying you've got these deals to the close of business on Friday. How often will you forget and all of a sudden it's Saturday and the deal's finished?
I love
or
what
it's
Ian
next
always
week.
says, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And you just don't get round to it. Just taking that first step, so important. And it's so easy to take that first step with us right
And
now.
if you do it right now, and we'll tell you how to do that, you will be in chance of getting one of these fabulous books. We have 250 of these for the first 250 people to secure the deal. And this book is fantastic. I did say originally we should have one from birth, but I think that's a little bit too early. But when you start work, I just think this book is so vital.
It's having all that information in one place, Ian, isn't it?
It's part of the cathartic process, if you like, and and again, it's selfless because what you're doing is you're helping your loved ones by saying, this is where my bank accounts are, this is where my pensions are, this is where my
Because they're
life
already in a
insurance
terrible
policies are.
situation. They've lost you, and now they've got to hunt for information.
Yeah. And in addition to that, there's things like passwords and PINs for your digital devices as well, because if they go missing and they can't be accessed, then quite often those devices and anything stored on them are dead as well. And that can be you know, again, double heartbreaking if you like.
Yeah, perhaps really precious photographs that you know are on Dad's phone, but you can't get onto it. You know, or perhaps really important emails as well. And just think about, you know, perhaps it's your mum or your dad. Do you know how many jobs they had? How many pensions they should have? There's billions of pounds that is sat in pensions, life insurance that should be going to somebody, but don't know where it should be going. And in that book, you've got all that information
Everything
that
written in
you
one
wouldn't.
place.
That'll never be found now, that money. That money will stay with the institution.
And it is billions, isn't it?
Billions, yeah. Billions.
Correct.
Purely because they don't know where it should go. So it just sits there.
It's never been claimed, and you know, I might say something a little bit controversial, but I doubt these institutions that are holding on to that money are actively going, oh, I think this person might be you on this money.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But look, the bottom line is that's got a really good reception, if you like. It's been received really well because it does allow you just to sit down for half an hour, you know, with a brew and just take stock of what you've got. And it's just part of the selfless process. Look, making a will is selfless. Filling out that book is selfless. But you'll get something out of it because you'll know that you've done something amazing for your loved ones.
Yeah.
You know, and a lasting power of attorney is selfless for the loved ones around you.
Yeah.
But that you certainly will get something because you know that you're going to be cared for by the people that you've chosen. This is all about control. If you decide not to make a will, you decide not to do lasting powers of attorney, which is exactly the position you're probably in now, and you decide to stay as you are, well, at least you're making an informed decision now because you know that if you die without your own will, you will get the government will. You know that if you lose capacity, that your loved ones will have to go through the court of protection. And you can check, you can validate what I'm saying to you. We're not saying that because we want you to buy something. We're saying that because we want you to seriously think about, you've worked hard for everything that you've got. And there are loved ones around you that you care for and they care for you. And doing this is one of the best things that you can do for them. And I like what you said about the prices. We do spend money on things that we want to spend money on. Let's be honest, a will's not sexy. It's not exciting. But at £22 a month,
Yes.
we've made it as affordable as we possibly can. I always giggle when you talk about coffees. I mean, I order the most pretentious drink in the world, and it's nearly £7 now.
No way.
For one drink.
One drink, I do have a few extra shots in it. You know, I'm a very busy man. I have to keep caffeinated. But in all seriousness, but what makes me laugh, and this is how stupid I am, is I will go and pay £6 to £7 for one coffee from a nice brand, but then go into a supermarket and not buy a full jar of coffee unless it's on offer.
We're bonkers, aren't we? We are. Our heads just don't work right, and it's so important to just think how little you're having to spend today. That money that you'd normally just throw away, really, on coffees. But so important what you're actually doing, writing that will, getting that lasting power of attorney in place. You've seen the deals. You know they're only until Friday at close of business. Now look at how easy it is to get in contact, because you might be at home thinking, how do I do it? I mean, you don't have to speak to anybody if you don't want to.
No, if you don't want to. You can go directly to Simpler Law, simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV. You can call the call centre. The team are there right through till the end of the show, waiting to take your call. Remember, you don't need any documents. You don't need anything with you. This is just securing those deals. So the call centre, 0333 600 2
And they're a
600.
great team, aren't they? If you've got a couple of questions, you can ask them, but what they will is get back into contact with you later on today or in the next couple of days to sort out a time that's right for you. But do you know the best thing I think to do is just pick that. Well, you probably don't even need to pick your phone up. You've probably got it in your hand already, haven't you? Just text Will to 66777. That's it. You've done it. You've secured whatever price you want, whether it's for the will, whether it's for the lasting power of attorney, whether it's for both. By texting Will to 66777, you've taken that first step, which is always the hardest thing to do. How many things do we put off? And then when you actually get them done, it's such a relief.
Yeah.
And you've done that right now by texting the word Will, 66777. That is the easiest and best way.
And the other way to get in touch, go through our website, shopontv.co.uk. Just scroll down on the homepage till you come to our on-screen partners and then click on Simpler Law. When you click on there, it takes you through to the exclusive offers. Remember, these are exclusive and they're only until the close of business Friday. Fill in your details that you can see there. Dead simple, dead straightforward. And if you do change your mind, if you go for the will and then you want to add in the lasting power of attorney, Simpler Law will hold those offers for you across the board on all the products that we're bringing you tonight.
You just need to get in contact. Remember, the first 250 people will get that book as well. Really, great to have your company, and I think it's getting your head around what actually happens if you haven't written a will, if you haven't got a lasting power of attorney, and we are going to go back into that. But then it's also knowing that what you're doing today is dealing with a company that just make it so easy and have such an amazing award-winning team.
Yeah, and the reviews are absolutely fabulous. Let's share some of the reviews with you right now. This one from Alison. Great service, extremely helpful and very informative. And Morgan, who managed my will, was extremely pleasant and helpful and made the whole procedure very easy and very clear for me to understand. I couldn't have asked for more. Couldn't have asked for a better, really nice man. You see, that's nice, isn't it? Always names the people that people
they don't say
with.
Simpler Law. It is that it's Alan, it's
the client care team,
Charlotte, and the team are absolutely incredible. Here's another one. Here's Jack, and he's a credit to the company.
Yeah, my experience from start to finish was fantastic. They made me feel at ease with something that isn't easy to do for anybody. Jack is a credit to the company. He helped me to sort the problems I had and was happy to answer any questions that I had. That's the other great thing. That was Eunice there. If you've got any questions, the team will talk you through everything you need to know.
And if you're ringing to, right now, that they are the team you're speaking to, but remember, you don't need any information right now. It's just that you want to do your will, you want to do your lasting power of attorney, you're just securing the prices. And actually, you never need really any information because the team are so good. When you sit down and chat to them, they've got all the right questions to get the right answers from you.
And you have those answers.
Yeah,
this is what the team
you do. You
say.
might not think you have, but you honestly have. And what they'll also do, especially I think with everything, but with a will especially, is make you realise how many different things you can add into the will. It's not just how much you've got financially, how big your house is, what your car is worth, how much money you've got in the bank. It's perhaps your pets you're concerned about. It's perhaps your children. You want to think about guardians for the children, or what age they're going to have. If they're only 18, do you want them to have absolutely everything at 18, or do you want to split that cost until they're a little bit older and perhaps a little bit more sensible? Will is so important. And though I think we think it's okay, everybody knows what I want to happen. I've told the kids, we've been together 34 years, so obviously all that's mine is Sean's, all that's Sean is mine. But had we not written a will, and we didn't do ours that long ago because we didn't realise, there is a government will that takes over if you don't write your own, and it doesn't work for anyone. Definitely wouldn't have worked for us.
That's known as the rules of intestacy, and we'll talk you through that as we go through the show. Ian and Emma are with us from Simpler Law. Very important to point out that this is what you're experts in, isn't it, Emma?
We do. This is all we do every day, all day, and that is just estate planning and will writing. So no other type of law.
That's why you're specialists, and that's why it's really important to go for a company like Simpler Law, because that's all they do. They know everything. They know all the jargon, and they'll explain it to you.
Alan.
Who's Alan?
Alan,
someone else.
He was on a review a bit back. Ian.
Over here, Alan.
It's similar letters, just the wrong way round.
Similar letters, just the wrong way around, and an extra one.
Yeah.
But it's okay. What were you saying?
One of the reviews was Alan.
What were you saying about not being able
Stop trying to explain it.
Ian. Forgot what I was going to say now. I was going to say you are award-winning was what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So though when you look at all the 5-star reviews, it doesn't say Simpler Law. A Simpler Law award-winning because you've got such an amazing team and you've done so much good.
Yeah, and truthfully, you just mentioned Morgan and Jack there, and they're just a small part
Members
of the team. It all works from the guys that are going to make your appointment to the people that print and bind your documents. Down to the consultants who you have the main dealings with. But obviously it's a team effort. But yeah, we're very proud of the fact that at the British Wills and Probate Awards, we were announced as the best estate planning firm, large estate planning firm.
Yeah, that's great.
No,
it's
in a nice look, I take pride every time I see a 5-star review, because let's be honest, as human beings, again, human nature is, I've had a terrible experience.
Right down the
I'm going
back.
to tell everybody about it. And I've had a good experience, which should be expected, truthfully. We don't always want to share that. So I'm really proud of the fact that our clients, do go out of their way. And I love that they do say, Charlotte, Jack, Morgan,
Alan.
And Alan. We don't know who Alan is, but Alan's doing a terrific job this morning.
Cracking.
But again, it's only that team can only speak to you if you send that text and you pick up that phone.
And it's so important, isn't it? Because I think one of the
big
biggest things, and this is the reason we love doing these shows, because we learn so much ourselves. But I think I think the majority of the people out there won't realise that if you haven't written a legally binding will, that actually you have got a will, but it's not a will that you're going to want.
No, there's a default position, and again, I don't think the information's widely available, and I don't think we as individuals perhaps wake up and get on the internet and type what happens when I die if I haven't made a will.
No.
There's a lot of misconception, there's a lot of hope, there's a lot of assumption, and it's all understandable. You know, you said yourselves you've been together 34 years. Of course it's understandable that you would expect and hope that when one of you passes that it goes to the other, and that's what everyone around you would expect. But without a will, the rules of intestacy actually make no provision for unmarried couples. And it's this rules of intestacy that people don't fully understand. You can see it on the screen there. I mean, that's a version of it.
And where does it start, Ian?
It starts with your marital status. So effectively, if you passed away yesterday, and you passed away intestate, so you've not made your own will. So your last act now on planet Earth isn't going to be yours. That's one thing to say. You've lost all control of what happens to everything that you own. It's now going to be dealt with through a government set of rules, hence the government will. So the first question that's asked of you is, were they married or in a civil partnership? It won't ask things like, were you loved up? Were you cohabiting? You know?
We've probably been together longer than a lot of marriages, but we would have failed that first question.
Well, you wouldn't have failed it because there's nothing to fail. It's just yes or no. But the answer would have been no. What would have failed is that the first person that passed away, it would follow their bloodline wherever that takes you, to the exclusion of the partner. Yeah. And that's where it fails, because everyone knows that, like you said, you wanted everything to go to each other. But ridiculously, as ridiculous as it sounds, under the rules of intestacy, not one penny is due to an unmarried partner. No, crazy.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And people would presume, because we talk about things like
this is the risk
common law marriages.
Yeah.
No such thing.
Unfortunately not, no.
So that's just something we presume. I love what you always say about, the bloke down the pub told me.
Oh, the Trivial Pursuit champion or the pub quiz champion who knows everything. No one quite knows. He's like Chandler out of Friends. No one quite knows what he did for a living or does for a living. But he'll have an opinion on it, but he won't be insured. He won't be qualified. And yet people will trust him. Oh, you've been together 20 years, so you're common law husband and wife, so you don't need a will. Yeah. And we hear that a lot going, well, John down the pub said I didn't need one. And we're like, well, is John going to put that in writing to you? Is he going to cover any losses? And look, and again, I'm not being facetious.
No, but
what we're saying on here, and the reason we do this is if you're listening to me now, I'm going to say something that's a little bit harsh, but you can't now ever say that you didn't know when you passed away that if you didn't have a will, there was a government will.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want to happen. That's why we do these shows. If you're sat thinking, I don't like the sound of that, you're right to think that. That's why we want people to make a will so they don't die intestate. Your last act on planet Earth should be your last act. It should be your will, your wishes. Absolutely your gift to your family. And you know, you'll have worked hard for everything that you've got. No one will have given it to you. So it's like, where do you want that to go?
And I think one of the biggest things as well, when you have really worked hard and you love your family, is to pass it on, isn't it? And for it to go to the right people. And perhaps there's people you don't want it to go to. And you might be watching, thinking, well, okay, well, it doesn't work for you because you're not married, but we are married. It's still not simple, and it's still, the government will doesn't work if you're married, does it?
The best thing you can do, and I know I'm labouring this point, is send the text or pick up the phone so we can talk to you about your personal situation, because there's that many situations out there.
Everybody's different, yeah.
And that's the whole point, is the rule of intestacy is one set of rules. It's one will that's supposed to meet everybody's situation. Just this last week, I've had conversations with clients myself and with consultants about situations. We had a couple who were on the second marriage who were referred to us by their daughter because she said, I don't think my mum and my stepdad's situation is quite right. They don't want to speak to anyone because they said they've got it sorted, but they said they'll speak to you because we've said how good you are, not me, one of the consultants. The long story short is they both made wills leaving everything to their respective children. Brilliant. But since they've made those wills, they've both then decided to get married. And what they didn't realise is that when you get married, it revokes any wills that you previously had.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, gosh.
That's a new one on us.
So,
Yeah.
again, you can only know what you know. So we said, well, it's nice that you made the wills. So we said, when you did the wills, were you planning on getting married? And they were like, no, we never thought we would. And then it was a case of, okay, so they won't have been written in contemplation of marriage, which means they wouldn't have failed if you got married. So basically, we know they're now married, so we know those wills don't exist. So then we had to explain, well, if one of you passes away now, the first £322,000 of your respective estate is going to go to your spouse.
So that's all that goes automatically?
Yeah,
But
automatically.
not to the children.
No, then there's a real weird calculation that half of the rest goes to the spouse and the other half goes to the children. It gets really messy really quickly.
Oh.
But worse than that, this couple made it very clear, because they've both got their own house, but they live in one. They've both got their own wealth. So for all intents and purposes, whilst they're married, they're financially independent. And very clearly, Mr. wants his estate to go to his kids,
children,
and Mrs. wants her estate to go to her kids. The second they got married, they stopped that from happening and didn't realise that had happened, because they basically put themselves back into the rules of intestacy.
So what would have happened if one of them had passed without...
It would go to the surviving spouse, and then when they pass away, it would go to their children.
Just
to the
their
exclusion of it.
children.
So we call it sideways disinheritance, because it moves to a different bloodline and goes down that other person's blood.
And there's going to be so many families now, because these rules were written over 100 years ago. So many families now that are on a second or even third marriage with children from different relationships. And even if this family, you know, you live together, the children don't see themselves as stepbrothers and stepsisters, the government
doesn't care.
It will only go down the bloodline of the surviving partner.
It's a series of yes or no questions that's all about your marital status and your bloodline, not stepchildren, not people that you care about. So, you know, there's lots of people that might want friends or people who aren't direct family or direct descendants to inherit. And again, unless you make a will, I can guarantee you that that won't happen.
And again,
the only way to make that
it's
happen
a legally binding will as well, isn't it? Because isn't there a story about a gentleman and his neighbour looked after him for years, and he wanted to leave his house to his neighbour. He'd got it written on a piece of paper.
It's what you've described. Everybody knew. Everybody who's anybody's, oh, right, it's sad that this gentleman's passed away. We know that the house is going to go to his friend of 50 years. He always said, and Bob cared for him, the house is going to go to Bob. Everyone knows the house is going to Bob, and no one's got a problem with that because they've been friends, and he's always said it, when I've gone, I'm leaving everything to Bob. Never made a will. Bob's not his family. This guy saw him as his family. They were best of friends for, 40, 50 years. So he's died intestate. Bob's not seeing a penny now. Now, Bob actually isn't bothered from a financial point of view, but he's bothered for the fact that his friend's wishes aren't being carried out, because now his estate is actually going, I think it's going to a second cousin in Canada. I can't remember exactly.
And you hear so many
relative.
stories like that probably would never have met, never have known.
But the thing is, I'm sure I am boring some of your viewers right now, but I can bore you with all of these stories, and while someone's listening to me tell these stories, it's happened to somebody else. It's when the other shoe drops and it happens to you. And actually going around and still speaking to people as I do, there's lots of people a lot more aware now of where this type of thing has happened, because families aren't, Mr. and Mrs. 2.4 children.
Not that standard family.
Not the standard family. It's more dynamic. There are blended families out there. So they're hearing about someone passing away. Oh, did you hear that when such and such passed away? It went to this person?
Yeah.
I spoke to a lady only a couple of months ago who said it happened to her. Her mum passed away. Everything went to her stepdad. They've not seen him since. He's just disappeared. He's just taken all the money and gone. And you're like, and she knows that isn't what mum would have wanted, but it's like, well, did they make a will? She's like, no. All of this is avoidable with a text and a phone call. That's the point we're driving.
We're just talking really about financial things, but with a will, Emma, it's not just finances, is it? There's so much more you can do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things would be guardians. If you've got young children.
Guardians for children.
Oh gosh, if you're in a situation where both parents died, which is a horrible thing to think of.
Yeah.
So you could put into your will who you want
to look after your children.
Wow, yeah.
When you're not here. And again, at least your friends or family know your children. They know their likes, their dislikes, their habits, that sort of thing. If you don't have a will in place, then obviously
Well, that could cause a family upset
Yeah,
because two sets
absolutely.
of grandparents might say, well, I want to take control, and you might have wanted really your sister to have them. You get to decide, and you get to decide so many things.
Yeah,
don't
I
you?
mean, obviously you get to decide, maybe you've got specific gifts or, you
So
know...
it could be heirlooms.
Yeah, heirlooms that you've got, and you want to give them to a particular person. You can specify, obviously, your funeral wishes even.
I think that's
You know?
really key, because I think we're rubbish at talking about things like that.
Yeah.
And you might not know if someone wants to be buried or cremated. So if it's in a will, that sort of situation's
I mean,
done.
I would always recommend that you still tell your friends and family, though, because obviously wills are generally read out, you know, after a funeral.
Oh, that's
so-
true, yeah.
But
we
it's
do.
sort of-
It sparks the conversation.
yeah,
Yes,
it
it's
starts it off.
And again, you would
Absolutely.
say to someone about that. Well,
You'd
you
advise
should.
Oh, of course we
Which
would,
is again is
yeah.
another reason we should sit down and talk
Yeah.
to you. You'd say, you know, we're writing it in your will, but do tell your family.
We had
Absolutely.
a brilliant one. She said, I want to be cremated, and as the curtain closes, I want Prodigy and Firestarter to start playing. So the consultant laughed and she went, no, I'm absolutely serious. She said, it'll absolutely crease all my friends and family. She also made it clear that she didn't want anyone wearing black and things like that.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, we've got the freedom to express that, but you can only express it if
If it's there,
You
if
make
it's
it-
written
yeah.
down.
And the other thing we hadn't thought about, and personally had we, about if you have got children, what age they inherit. Because again, if parents sadly pass and the child's 18, they are entitled to get it all straight away, aren't they?
yeah, under the rules of intestacy, yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, if you have your own will, you can stipulate then what age. So rather than it just being 18, it can be, you know, 21, 23, even 25 if you really wanted
And
to.
you could also stagger the inheritance.
Yeah, of
couldn't
course.
you, if you wanted to.
Yeah, it's your will. You
It's
decide.
brilliant. Yeah,
and that's
this-
the greatest thing about it.
And
You decide.
Control.
And so much, I think people think it's just about money, isn't it? But there's so much.
And it's not just about children, because your children might be your dog or your cat. and you get a lot of people that put what they want to happen to their pets in
Yeah.
their will, don't
Yeah,
you?
my kids know that I probably love my dog more than them. I shouldn't say that. They always make that comment. So yeah, that, you know, people's pets are substitute children these days,
Yeah.
especially if you can't have children of your own. So yeah, you can then pop that in your will as well, where you want them to go, who you want them to look after.
You can even leave money for them
Yeah,
to
you
look after
can.
them.
Absolutely.
And if you want to leave money to charities and things, that can all go into your
course.
will, so you
Yeah.
know that's going to happen.
Yeah. So you can do that.
The beautiful thing about making your own will is control.
Of everything.
You control everything, and at the end of the day, it says, this is the last will and testament of. It's your will. The rules of intestacy doesn't mention anybody by name. It's all relationships.
Yes,
it's all
it is.
status. It's all class of beneficiary. Are your parents still alive? Do you have children? Do you have grandchildren? Do you have uncles? Do you have brothers? Do you have sisters? Depending on where it goes. And there is no variance in distribution. It's always in equal shares. But when you make your own will, it's all about what you choose. You choose who's going to administer it. So you choose the people that you trust to carry out your wishes. Well, that's huge, because the rules of intestacy, you don't even know who's going to step forward.
No.
The age of children is massive, as you just said. We know for a fact that parents actually would prefer the children to inherit when they're a bit older. The only way to do that is through a will. And if there is guardianship there, you can pass on your parental responsibility through a will. That's massive for parents. And then you get to the crux of a will, which is, by definition, you stop using the rules of intestacy, so you decide who inherits, not a government will.
Yeah.
So it's your choice. But as importantly, and is a lot more common than you think, you can also choose who doesn't inherit.
Yes.
So you can document exclusions in there as well.
I wouldn't have thought of that, but yeah.
That's
Because that could cause a real family upset if there's a child that's been away from the parents, hasn't spoken to them for forever, and then all of a sudden when they pass, they're entitled to the same as...
we get asked for advice on all kinds of horrible situations where the daughter's stayed at home, she's looked after her parents, she's cared for them when they've been ill, the son's been nowhere to be seen, has been, in the words of the clients and the sister, a bit of a disgrace. And
I was worried what you were going to say then.
well, and there hasn't been a relationship there, he hasn't cared for them, and they've said to the daughter, you know, obviously when we pass we want everything to come to you. They've never made a will, and it's gone equally between the daughter and the brother, and she's like, this isn't what mum
So
and dad
unfair,
wanted.
yeah.
And it's like, what can I do? And it's like, well,
Nothing.
nothing, because the rules of intestacy say that it's split equally between children. Whereas if the parents had made a will, they could have said, I want to leave everything to my daughter. We've excluded our son, and they would have put the reasons for that exclusion there, and the wishes would have been carried out. So it's control. And the thing is, when you make your own will, the word is always, the words are you choose, you choose, you choose.
You.
The government will doesn't think of you, doesn't think of your family, doesn't care about you. It's just a default situation. Please don't die intestate.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work for anybody. And if you haven't got a legally binding will done, you have got that will. You've got the government will, and that government will, as we're explaining, whether you're in a relationship but you're not married, if you're in a relationship and you are married, if you've got children from different partners, if you're a single person but you know there's people that you wouldn't want your inheritance to go to, it doesn't work for anybody. So whatever situation you're in, we all need a will. We didn't realise, we didn't even think about. We knew everybody would know what was mine was Sean, what was Sean was mine. But actually, if something had happened to one of us without us writing a will, that would not have been the case at all, because the government will didn't care that I'd been with Sean for 34 years, that Sean had been with me for 34 years. It's not personal at all. And the only way to make sure what you've worked so hard for happens
is to write it down.
It's your last gift to your loved one.
And it's so affordable at these prices.
And it's
Why
so
wouldn't
easy,
you?
yeah.
And you can just start that first step and get the ball rolling. Simpler Law have great reviews across the board. We're going to share a couple more reviews with you. There's lots more to fit in before the end of the show. As we say, we're going to go back to lasting powers of attorney. This is what Lisa had to say. Brilliant service from Michael at Simpler Law. Helpful, professional and friendly. Answered all our questions and gave us time to think when we needed it. It's at your pace. That's the other great thing. Will all sorted and much easier than we thought it would be. Thank you, Michael. I'll be recommending you to friends. That's really nice.
And you do that, and we do that, don't we?
Yeah.
We are like the world's worst now. We're like, have you not got a will? You've got to get
We are a bit
will.
preachy.
Yeah. We had friends.
It's when you know.
Yeah.
It's when you know.
Well,
something.
you worry about a loved one. That we've got really great friends, hadn't got a will, and they did have a complicated situation.
They thought it was complicated.
And it wasn't when they talked to Simpler Law, because they've dealt with everything. But it was more complicated than a regular sort of situation, and they wanted to do certain things. And but of
it'll
course,
be too difficult.
yeah, but when you've got it legally binding and written down, it's going to happen. That's how. And it took us forever. And we must have gone for dinner about 5 times. We're like, have you done that will? And they're like, but they have.
Yeah.
Took them a while.
We're seeing them this week. We'll give them a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Look, and the weight's lifted.
It was complete peace of mind.
Weight's lifted because the thing is, they knew exactly what they wanted to do, but thought it was going to be that complicated that they stopped themselves from doing it. Then when they did it, went, so you could do that.
Yeah.
We do
That
panic.
relief.
I'll be honest, we do panic a little bit if a client says, you'll like me. Ours is dead simple. It's like, okay, everyone,
Here we go.
brace yourselves. There's nothing going to be
It's going to be the opposite.
It often is, and then sometimes someone will say, ours is going to, I'm really sorry, ours is going to be really complicated. But the whole point is, it doesn't matter whether it's simple, complicated or not. Your journey will be simple for you, because if it's not, you just tell us that you want your money back.
Great.
Because if we've not held your hand, if we've not supported you through the process and you're not happy, just say, look, this isn't for me, I'll have my money back, please, and we'll give you your money back. There is nothing to regret doing this, but we can only help you, and you can only experience this for yourself if you send that text and send, or the team are still there now, give them a call. Because the worst thing you can do now is go to bed or go to work without sending that text or making that call. Because life will just get in the way, and you won't send it, and time will move on again. Hopefully you'll see this show again and maybe get it the next time round. But the thing is, you can only act now. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not promised. Do it now.
And while we've got these brilliant prices, we've got another review to share with you, and then we're going to run you through those offers and how to get in touch. This one from Julie. After making an appointment, I spoke to Sam about making a will. He phoned bang on time and was informative, knowledgeable and helpful. He was patient, listened to my questions and made the whole process very easy. He was polite and courteous, and a credit to Simpler Law all round. Excellent customer service. I think there's a promotion there for Sam.
I was thinking about Michael. He got two mentions. I thought that was greedy. I'll have a word with Michael and go back to the office.
Great to read.
No, it makes me proud every time I see that, because, like I said before, it might be the first time that you make a will. It might be the only time that you make a will. So it's got to be brilliant for you. And our consultants don't lose sight of that. Just because they're doing it every single day The one thing that we know every single day we come into work is, this might sound a little bit cheesy, but I mean it from the bottom of my heart. We might do something really amazing for a client today, and no one knows it yet because we don't know what the future holds.
Yeah.
And we know from experience that when someone passes away with a will, we're like, it's amazing they did that. If they hadn't done that, can you imagine the problems that they would be experiencing now? And they're just not experiencing any problems. You know, it's almost that sliding door scenario.
Yes.
Yeah.
Passed away with a will, passed away without a will. I'll be on the side of with a will, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, if you haven't written your will, you get the government will. It doesn't work for anybody, and you'll kick yourself, or you would kick yourself if you could, because you just don't know when your time's up. So you don't know when it's going to be too late. You do it right now. Look at the prices you've got, because if you're thinking it's too expensive, it truly is not expensive. It's the best deals ever, because you've got an extra 10% off here tonight. And remember, this deal is only until the close of business on Friday. So our regular prices now, if you're going for the will, should be £249. So even if you paid full price, I think that's still really good.
When you think what you get,
your last gift to your loved ones,
peace of
what you've
mind.
worked so hard for, it's going to happen when you pass. But we always give a great discount, and our regular price now is £99, but you have got an extra 10% off, taking it down to £89 to get that will legally written and so simply done. And you can split that cost. So £22.25, that's the first of 4 payments, which I don't think you'll even notice, because you do spend that on a coffee, don't you? You spend that on a couple of glasses of wine. You spend that easily when you pop into the shop just to get a pint of milk, and all of a sudden you've spent £50. Honestly, so affordable, but the best gift you can give to your loved ones and family, and you've done it. And that first step, secure that deal right now, and we'll explain how to do that. Lasting power of attorney, you're going to go back into that so you've just got an idea what lasting power of attorney is.
Yeah, we'll explain that in just a couple of moments for you. Just so you know, the offer though, usual price, suggested retail price of £349 comes down to less than £200 on our offer price, but we're going to give you another 10% off. £179 is what it comes down to on our show price, and with those 4 interest-free payments, £44.75 on your first of 4 payments. But the biggest value and the biggest saving is if you combine a will and lasting power of attorney. Should be almost £600, down to £269 on the offer, but with that extra discount that we've got for you, another 10% off, it comes down to £242. That's just £60.50 on your first of 4 interest.
Saving more than you're spending there. Well worth doing that. If you have at the beginning of the show actually secured the will deal, perhaps you rang up and said, I want to do the will, do not panic if you've decided now you want to do will and lasting power of attorney. As long as you've got in touch and do it right now, they will secure all of those prices. Whatever you decide to do, you've secured the deals. And if you are the first of the first 250 people to get in touch, you will also get this fabulous book, which is What Your Family Should Know. And I think this book is, I think everybody I said from birth originally, but that was too early, but from working, everybody should have this book, because this is vital information that when you do pass, your family will be hunting for, won't be able to find.
Yeah, you're not hunting all around the house because everything's in here. And this first came about, Ian, because of research that you did when it comes to things like pensions, wasn't it?
It was born out of our estate administration team, when we're acting as professional executors. The role of an executor, oversimplification, is we're gathering the assets, we're gathering the debts, and obviously then we distribute the estate. And it's gathering the assets that takes the time. And obviously as professionals we have certain tools that we can use so we can find assets that perhaps a layperson can't. And it was knowing how difficult it was with all the tools at our disposal.
Yeah.
Like, well, how are lay people doing
Yeah.
this? And that's when it came to light that it's believed there's £5 billion of unclaimed pension pots in the UK.
Just because they don't know where it should be.
It's
Can't find it.
Never been found by
Don't
the
find the
executor. So someone's passed away, and maybe they've like, oh, we know Dad had a pension here, and we know Dad had a pension there, but maybe he had 3 others that they've not found, so they've not claimed them for the estate. They think there's £2 billion worth of unclaimed life insurance policies as well. So again, we're not talking small amounts of money, a significant amount.
And just because they're not found, so
Correct.
the claims aren't made.
Yeah. And in the nicest possible way, these institutions are probably not going to go running around saying, we think we owe people money.
Yeah.
And again, £850 million in dormant bank accounts that again haven't been found. And these are very unlikely now to be found.
Yeah.
So sadly, that's money that's sat with these institutions that should and could be with your loved ones.
And all those
That's the
details in one
Yeah,
place,
yeah.
so you're not hunting around trying
Correct.
to find them. You
And
know
also
where it's used.
passwords, which now is
Selfless again.
so vital, isn't it? A password.
passwords
Because
for
lots of
computers.
things now, it's not hunting for letters and hunting for information in cupboards. Could be on a mobile, could be on a tablet. It could be photos, actually, that you know are on your dad or mum's tablet and you've lost them because you haven't got the password to get onto that system, and you can put all your passwords into there. It is the first 250 people that will get that, so please do. That's another reason to get in contact right now, either via the phones, text. All you need to do to secure the book, to secure the prices, is text the word will to 66777. That's it.
And that's always the busiest way, but there's lots of other ways to get in touch as well. The texting service is so simple, so
Yeah, I think that's the one that's always the busiest, because we haven't got to speak to anybody. You've done the job, whether you're just going off to work, whether you're just going off to bed, you've done it. And it's so simple. I enter all the competitions like that, but this is a competition you've definitely won because you've taken that first step to get that will or that lasting power of attorney sorted. But you can contact via the website, and you can jump on the phones. The team are right there, and that's a really great way. If you've got a couple of questions perhaps to ask, you could ask them right now, but then they'll get back in contact with you and sort out a day that's good for you to sit down and chat properly.
Or you can scan the QR code, or you can go through the Shop on TV website. It's completely up to you. We are going to cover lasting power of attorney again before the end of the show. When it comes to lasting powers of attorney, you might have heard the term but not know what it actually means.
And how important it is.
Yeah, exactly. Emma, if you can explain to everyone at home what a lasting power of attorney is.
So this is a document that you can have put in place. So basically what it does, it gives somebody the power to step into your shoes. So whoever you've appointed as an attorney, or you can have several of them.
Okay.
And it gives them the power to basically, in the eyes of the institute, they are you.
Right.
So they can then control everything, that you would normally do.
And when would that come in? Is this where, if you've been seriously injured, perhaps in an accident, or if you've got dementia, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you've lost your capacity, so either dementia, or we've fallen ill, or we've had an accident, anything like that. So if you are not
well enough to...
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the typical use of it, but there are other people who you can use lasting power of attorney whilst you're in good health as well. You might be working away for periods of time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Or you might have full capacity, but you might struggle to get around physically. So
to go and do the tasks.
To go and do tasks. So,
that's interesting,
the thing it's commonly known for is obviously life's throwing you a curveball, so someone has to step into your shoes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got friends that work offshore and things like that and work away for extended periods of time. So they leave their partner or their spouse with the power of attorney so they can just deal with things over here when they're not physically in the country.
And the kind of things we're talking about will pop up on screen for you when it comes to finances, just to explain, because there's so much, again, so much more than you would think of.
Yeah, so you could do things like, maybe you need to claim the pension still or benefits. You can pay household bills. You can obviously buy and sell and lease properties. So you've still been able to deal with your mortgage at that point as well. Maybe you want to just operate your accounts on a daily basis, as
check
you
finances.
would do. Yeah, absolutely.
It's so important, I think. And what it says at the bottom there, essentially, you choose someone you trust to manage your affairs. And in the eyes of the institutions and the companies that they deal with, they become you. I think it's such an important...
That's the crux of it.
Yeah. And I think it's a bit like wills. I think we, again, presume in these situations
100%,
that if someone was, seriously poorly, perhaps they were in a coma, and it's your partner, it's your husband, your wife, that
you just step
obviously
in.
I can sort out all the financial affairs, but that's not the case, is it?
No, not at all. Just because you are either married or you're their partner doesn't mean that you can have access to their accounts. I mean, I couldn't go into my husband's bank account and say, I want to take £200 out.
Yeah.
No, when you say...
I try quite often, but they don't let me.
When you say it makes sense, because I look after mum and I try to help sort out her affairs and things, but if I ring a company and say,
Well, the
that
first thing they say to you is, are you the account holder?
Data
exactly.
And they have to speak to
Yeah.
mum first before they'll even have anything to do with me. But you presume, I think, because it is a loved one, that everyone will know you've got their best interest, but that's not the case, is it at all?
Not at all, unfortunately. I mean, as you just said just then, you know, I know I've tried to ring up, you know, one of our utility bills.
Yeah, service providers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not on the...
You're not the lead name.
I'm not the lead name.
Right.
So they won't talk to me. You have to then have, you know, a password.
so
And even with a
frustrating.
password, they still want to be able to talk to my husband, even though we've set up a password.
And that's
So
while he's well and he's okay, and
yeah.
so it makes sense.
Yeah.
So what would happen, Ian, if we didn't have a lasting power of attorney and we did want to sort the bills out, and we, you know, for a partner, a loved one, a mum, a dad?
So if life's thrown you a curveball, you've lost capacity for whatever reason, and you haven't got a lasting power of attorney, you've not chosen the people that are going to step into your shoes. So someone or a group of people have to step forward and almost volunteer to do that. And by volunteer, what I mean is they actually have to apply for something called a deputyship order, which is applied for through the Court of Protection. Now, that's a really long-winded process, and it's really very expensive. And I think as worrying as the expense and the length of time it takes to be granted a deputyship order is also the incapacitated person doesn't know that the person who's applied for it is the person they would have chosen for themselves. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
no, of course
if I
it
make
does.
lasting power of attorney, I might look at Emma and go, Emma's dodgy. She's trying to raid her. She's trying to raid her husband's bank accounts. We've all heard that. We've got it recorded now. The bottom line is, the Court of Protection. It might be Emma that turns up for the Court of Protection.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously the Court of Protection is there to.
They've got to prove that
they've got
you're,
not your
you're the
choice.
right person.
No.
And it costs to prove that
Well, you
you're
can
the
see-
right person.
Yeah, you can see the fees there. I mean, the application fee alone is $421 when we've done an exclusive deal tonight to draft a lasting power of attorney just for $179. So again, you know, if you had that crystal ball and you knew that your family were going to need a lasting power of attorney, well, you wouldn't hesitate doing it now. You wouldn't, because it'd be
It's a
ridiculous not
little
to.
bit like an insurance. It's not an insurance, but it is a little bit like an insurance.
It absolutely is. It's what if.
Yeah.
You know, we don't insure things because we want something to happen. We insure things in case something does happen. And all you're doing with a lasting power of attorney is sort of protecting yourself by saying, right, if something bad does happen to me, I want to make sure that my power is donated to the people that I trust. And that's done through that document. If you don't have that document, you're basically leaving it to chance about A, who is going to step forward, but worse than that, at a time when your loved ones are supposed to be caring for you, they're then having to deal with the courts, and then they've got all this additional expense. And it's all avoidable. That's the thing, it's all avoidable. Some of the hardest phone calls we get in the office, and we're not proud of what we call them, but we call them the too late phone calls because there's nothing else to call them, is we'll get that phone call, my dad has just been diagnosed with dementia, can you help? Because we've got lasting powers of attorney, but my dad didn't, and we didn't know. And it's like, sorry.
It's too late.
Because no one can make a power of attorney for you. So I know it's a bit of an obvious statement, but yesterday's gone, tomorrow's never promised, it never comes. You can only act now. So if you're still listening to me at nearly 3 a.m, in all seriousness, please don't go to bed on this or go to work on this. Send us that text or speak to the team that's still there. You won't regret doing that. And all these scenarios that hopefully are never going to happen to you, well, if you're unlucky and life did throw you that curveball, you'll be glad, or more importantly, your family will be glad that you did send that text and you did make that phone call.
And remember, you've got two lasting power of attorneys as well. And if you are going to go down that route, you can jump onto the phones right now, or you can send the text, or you can get onto the website and secure the prices. And then you can talk through the two different lasting powers of attorney. One is the financial side, and then the other, which I found just as important when we did mums, or more important actually, is the well-being side, the welfare.
Health and welfare.
Yeah, and so this is your other option. And then you can decide things about sort of what home they go into. Or perhaps you've got a loved one that is a vegetarian, and you know they would hate to go into a home and then be fed meat. Or perhaps they always like that, the nails polished or their hair done. Or perhaps it's about the medicines that they take. You know, it's much more personal.
Yeah, and just as important. So again, coming in at fabulous prices that Simpler Law offers, but these are professionally produced documents by experts in the field. And we've got to say huge thank you. It's the end of the show. Ian and Emma, thank you so much for joining
us.
simplerlaw.co.uk/shop on TV, going directly to Simpler Law. You can call the call centre. The team are there right now, right through to the end of the show. 0333 600 2600. Or you can text the word WILL, WILL, to 66777. If you do want to text, it's the simplest way. It's always the most popular way.
It's so easy, isn't it?
Phone's right there in your hand. Again, you don't need any documents. You don't need any information right now. You're just securing those offers.
Sometimes you just don't really want to talk to anybody, do you? We're a bit like that. You've talked all day, or perhaps you're just about to go out to work and you think, I haven't got time. Perhaps you're just about to go to bed and you think, the last thing I want to do is get into a conversation with somebody. Just text WILL, 66777. That's it. And that is going to be the biggest peace of mind.
Thanks to the team. Thanks to you, Anne.
See you later.